I'm a DC superhero in Marvel. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 301. We won again. Of course not. Wonder Woman spoke directly and had nothing to hide from Jackie Chan, so she said frankly, the one who brought them here is our helper. Boom. The deafening roar was getting closer and closer. In a few blinks, Jackie Chan felt that the temperature of the space he was in had risen a lot, as if a hot force was constantly approaching. And the corridor connecting to the exit, which was still bright, was now particularly strange against the background of a blue light. What is this? Woo Zinmo and others were all shocked. They all felt a demonic force approaching. They were so familiar with this force. Ghost Rider. It's him. Woo Zinmo raised the corner of his lips and muttered to himself, it's really easy to get it. I was just thinking about where to find you after solving the enemy in front of me, and you came to my door. Kai Kai! Exclamation mark. The thought flashed through his mind, and a cool motorcycle wrapped in blue flames rushed into the corridor connecting to the exit and flew in front of everyone. Kai 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 Kai. The motorcycle swung its tail in a handsome way and stopped in the middle of Woo Zinmo and others, and Wonder Woman and others. Uncle Long, we are here. Xiaoyu jumped out of the car excitedly. Dad staggered out of the car and could hardly stand. This is too difficult for the elderly. Dad, that's not what you said when you first got in the car. Xiaoyu turned her head and began to imitate Dad's tone. You said, just drive, and I will think of a solution. Humph. Dad took out a small dried fish from his arms and stared at Woo Zinmo in front of him. Such a strong demonic energy. Dad has already thought of a solution. Really? Jackie Chan's face fell. Why do I feel like we are finished? No. Wonder Woman retorted, looking around. A smile appeared on her face. On the contrary, the battle has just begun. Johnny, you and I will deal with Woo Zinmo together. After that, she ordered, Dad, the remaining 3 demons are left to you and Jackie Chan. No problem. Dad naturally knew Wonder Woman, but he was not surprised why Wonder Woman knew him. Before Constantine left, he revealed his relationship with Batman and others. Obviously, Constantine said all this. And me. Xiaoyu was very dissatisfied when she saw that she was ignored. Wonder Woman, I'm also a member of the magic team. Then let's go together. Wonder Woman glanced at Xiaoyu, and her slender and round legs bent and bounced, and her body shot out like a cannonball. Boom! Exclamation mark. She rushed towards Woo Zinmo. Humph. Woo Zinmo's pale face showed a disdainful sneer. Don't think that having more people will be useful. I'm no longer the same as before. Woo Zinmo, who got 8 talismans, has a higher ability. Raise your hand to release the Dragon Blast. The electric eye blessed by the pig talisman also shot out 2 powerful electric currents, comparable to lasers. Wonder Woman flipped in midair to avoid the attack. With a wave of her hand, the lasso of truth appeared and rushed towards Woo Zinmo, as if it had a spirit. Beside him, Johnny, who had transformed into the Ghost Rider, also took action. The evil spirit chains flew out. 2 whip-like artifacts blocked all of Woo Zinmo's retreat routes. But what was shocking was that Woo Zinmo suddenly disappeared from the spot and entered a state of invisibility. Snake spell. This was one of the spells that Woo Zinmo had just taken away. Oh. Wonder Woman narrowed her eyes. On the other side, Johnny, who had transformed into the Ghost Rider, was not moved at all. Flames ignited in his 2 empty eye sockets, as if he was activating some kind of ability. The evil spirit chains changed accordingly. They continued to stretch and wrap into a huge globe, completely blocking the position where Woo Zinmo was originally located. Wonder Woman followed suit and the lasso of truth quickly whipped next to the hollow ball wrapped by the evil spirit chains to prevent Woo Zinmo from escaping control. The battle situation was reversed instantly. Woo Zinmo was at a disadvantage. On the other side, the water demon, earth demon, and wind demon that were fighting against Jackie Chan and Daddy were also forced to lose their advantage. Demons and ghosts, please leave. Demons and ghosts, please leave. Jackie Chan used the power of the talisman to entangle the 3 demons, and Daddy behind him began to chant a spell and use powerful key magic to help. The three demons were tied up and could not move at all under the deterrence of key magic, which was completely different from their previous reckless attack on Jackie Chan and True. True slowly woke up behind the two of them and looked at Xiaoyu beside him. After a moment of distraction, he immediately came to his senses. Xiaoyu, why are you here? He showed the same stunned expression as Jackie Chan. Of course we are here to help. Xiaoyu put her hands on her hips and said angrily, don't deny it, True, you need my help. Without me, you can't defeat the demons at all. True didn't know how to answer Xiaoyu. Boom. Suddenly, a huge explosion occurred on the battlefield where Wonder Woman and Ghost Rider teamed up to fight against Wu Zinemo. The evil spirit chain exploded. Wu Zinemo used Dragon Blast, Electric Eyes, and his own ice ability to forcefully break the bondage of the evil spirit chain. Do you think you can trap me like this? Wu Zinemo cast a vicious look at Wonder Woman and Ghost Rider. Whoosh. He activated the power of the rabbit spell and planned to use his extreme speed to get rid of the lock of the two. However, Wonder Woman had already predicted this scene. As early as the moment Wu Zinemo broke through the bondage of the evil spirit chain, the Truth Lasso rushed up and tied Wu Zinemo tightly. The next moment, Wonder Woman and Ghost Rider flew up and pierced Wu Zinemo's body with their big hands. Wu Zinemo screamed in extreme pain. The spell. Wonder Woman and Ghost Rider naturally wanted to take away the spell that he had integrated into his body from his body. It was about the same as cutting open the body and digging out the heart directly. There was no anesthesia yet. Even a demon would feel pain from this method. In a few blinks, the two dug out all the talismans from Wu Zinemo, not giving him time to react. Then, Ghost Rider activated the Eye of Judgment. Wu Zinemo didn't even have time to say his last words before his body was gradually burned into powder by the flames of his soul. This Water Demon, Earth Demon and Wind Demon, the three demon followers of Wu Zinemo, were shocked. Their big brother was killed just like that! Exclamation mark. The combination of Wonder Woman and Ghost Rider made Wu Zinemo, who had fused 8 talismans, unable to fight back. You still have the mind to worry about others? Dad sneered and continued to chant. Under Jackie Chan's restraint, the powerful key magic blocked the actions of the three demons, and their bodies gradually became stiff. Xiaoyu, he shouted in a low voice, and Xiaoyu beside him understood, and took out 3 bottles. Seal. Another shout, the 3 demons turned into 3 wisps of green smoke, floated into the 3 bottles, and were sealed by Dad. Humph. Dad chuckled and showed a proud expression. How can a mere demon be Dad's opponent? Too awesome. Xiaoyu raised the bottle in her hand. We won again. Chapter 302. The Holy Lord was captured. Jackie Chan was shocked. It's over. Looking at the mess in the underground base, Wonder Woman exhaled, looked around, swept her eyes over everyone present, and smiled. Perhaps I still need to formally introduce myself. I'm Wonder Woman, Diana Prince, the helper called by John Constantine. Of course we know you are Wonder Woman. Xiaoyu was curious, but why are you the only one who came to support? If Batman and others are here, it should be easier for us to kill the demons, right? No, they are not good at dealing with demons. Wonder Woman shook her head. Regarding this, I think John Constantine should explain it to you. After the voice fell, she took a deep look at the Ghost Rider transformed by Johnny. Immediately afterwards, Wonder Woman's figure instantly left a residual image and disappeared in front of everyone. Only one sentence was left, floating in the air. Let's stop here today. We will have a chance to see each other in the future. Jackie Chan and others looked at each other. Although this matter ended here, why do I always feel that they are just soy sauce and haven't even figured out the situation? The real behind the scenes operator was John Constantine, who had never shown up from beginning to end, and who had no idea where he had gone at the critical moment. At this time, Anton, who was drinking tea in an oriental tea house in Chinatown, narrowed his eyes slightly and showed a happy expression. This was the first time he had tasted the taste of his hometown since he traveled through time. Coffee, no matter how expensive it is, when you think of cat fesses, elephant fesses, bird fesses, macaques, and other animal related contents, you really want to vomit if you drink too much. Anton sighed. Ring, ring, ring. Suddenly, the phone rang. Anton picked up the phone and was not surprised to see that the caller was Defense Minister Keller. Basically, Keller was in contact with him about any official information. On the one hand, most of the incidents involving Anton were related to national security, which happened to be the scope of work of Keller, the defense minister. On the other hand, Keller had a good personal relationship with him and could play the friendship card. Anton, I think you should write a report. After Keller greeted him, he could hear a headache in his voice and said, you must know what happened in Los Angeles. We cannot talk about the big case in which 38 gang members died, but you must tell us clearly about matters related to magic, such as the Holy Lord and the Demon. These things should have been explained clearly enough by Sheriff Blake, the head of District 13, right? Anton shrugged and said helplessly, Mr. Keller, if you want to know more details, I can't tell you. What do you mean? Keller said, isn't John Constantine one of yours? Even if he is not, Wonder Woman and Diana Prince are always your people, right? You are right. Constantine is not a member of the Justice League. He is at most a magic consultant of our Justice League. As for Diana, she and Constantine have a private relationship. Anton said, this time John Constantine asked us for help because of some things. As for the events in the magic world, Batman and others lack sufficient ability to intervene. Only Wonder Woman can help him. Keller asked, so, the Justice League has long known that there is magic in this world? Not only the Justice League, you have known it for a long time. Anton said, as far as I know, the head of District 13, Sheriff Black, has reported the relevant situation to his superiors, but no one believed it. You even thought that Sheriff Black had hallucinations. If it weren't for Sheriff Black's good ability, you would have planned to remove him from his position, right? Keller was choked. Although Anton's words did not utter a curse word, it was already a finger pointing at the nose and scolding the old Americans for not doing their job well. Of course, Keller didn't care because he often scolded them like this. Anton, I want to meet John Constantine. Keller thought for a while and said, can you arrange it? Sure. Anton was very happy. I will arrange it for you. Just at Dad's antique shop. You can tell Sheriff Black, the head of District 13, that he knows where the antique shop is. Anyway, he also planned to push the John Constantine vest to the surface and be responsible for matters related to magic. The establishment of the Dark Justice League requires manpower. In some cases, official help may be needed to block the news. Therefore, letting John Constantine meet with the official is actually more conducive to the establishment and action of the Dark Justice League. Okay. After saying this, Keller hung up the phone and went to hand over the work. Antique shop. A large truck was parked at the door. The truck's cargo box was loaded with a statue of the Holy Lord. Under the watchful eyes of the public, it is not convenient to transfer the Holy Lord to the war fortress in the universe, but this is not a big deal. Putting the Holy Lord into the truck cargo box and moving it to the door of the antique shop can be regarded as making full use of it. Soon, Dad and others returned to the antique shop. Constantine was already sitting in a chair drinking tea, and he was drinking the authentic Dahang Peo collected by Dad. Oh, you are so rude. The old man saw his treasure being ruined, his eyes turned green, and he wanted to release the devil in the bottle and fight Constantine for 300 rounds. He said angrily, stinky boy, do you know how rare this tea is? I can't bear to drink it myself. Dahang Peo is produced in Wuai Mountain and is the most famous tea in Wuai Mountain. It grows on a steep rock wall in Jialang. Dahang Peo tea is brewed 9 times, but it still retains its original taste. It is known as the king of tea. Although Dahang Peo is popular in the market now, most of them are famous Dahang Peo. Because of the differences in each rock area and tree species, there are differences in taste and price. What the old man drinks is certainly not fake. Constantine took a sip of hot tea and smiled. This tea is really good. He smiled and said, Dad, don't be so stingy. I helped you solve a big problem. What big problem? We solved all the demons ourselves. Dad clenched his fists and was about to press Constantine, the shameless guy, to the ground. He hadn't really taken action for many years, and he almost forgot that he was still a martial arts master. Go and see the truck outside. Constantine said, that's the problem I solved for you. Huh. Without Constantine's explanation, Xiaoyu saw the truck parked at the door when she returned to the antique shop. Curious, she looked into the cargo box and froze in place, her eyes wide open, and she couldn't speak clearly. Uncle Lang 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 Lang. Dad, come and see. Xiaoyu screamed. It's the Holy Lord. The Holy Lord was caught. What? Dad was stunned. Chapter 303 officially established. Dark Justice League. Jackie Chan and True came to Xiaoyu and looked into the cargo box. They were as shocked as Xiaoyu. It's really the Holy Lord. Jackie Chan turned his head and looked at Constantine in the house. You went to catch the Holy Lord? What about Valen and the others? Of course they were arrested. Constantine smiled and said, how could a group of gangsters escape my arrest? I came here to completely solve these troubles and do something that must be done. Valen was arrested. Jackie Chan opened his eyes wide and was a little dazed for a while. He didn't expect that his old opponent would be solved so easily by Constantine. He suddenly realized the gap between himself and Constantine. Although the latter rarely appeared in this incident, he had always firmly controlled the direction and outcome of the incident. I believe that this result was not unexpected by the latter. While Jackie Chan was thinking, Constantine in front of him looked at Johnny Blaze. Johnny, Mephisto's conspiracy has been shattered. At least in the near future, you will not be harassed by Mephisto anymore. What do you think next? Johnny was stunned and shook his head. I don't know. He was the one who was least clear about the situation among this group of people. Although Xiaoyu and Dad explained it to him on the way to District 13, he was confused and still didn't understand. He only knew that Mephisto and another powerful demon joined forces, and the conspiracy was finally shattered by him and others. Mephisto has suffered a heavy loss this time. He has to solve his own problems and will not be in the mood to disturb you. Constantine said, I will give you two choices. If you want to escape your fate, I suggest you go to Africa to find a place away from the crowd and spend the rest of your life in peace. This way you can escape the side effects of the spirit of revenge. After a pause, he said, if you want revenge, whether it is about your family's revenge, your adoptive father's revenge, or Mephisto's calculations this time, I can give you this opportunity. I understand. Johnny was stunned, then showed a firm expression, and said in a deep voice, whatever you want to do, I will join. Dad and others heard a hint of unusual meaning from Constantine's words. The antique shop fell silent. What do you want to do? However, this silence only lasted for a few seconds. Xiaoyu looked around, full of curiosity, and asked on behalf of the adults, Mr. John Constantine, why do I feel like you are a cult leader? You will understand soon. Constantine finished speaking. Beep beep. The sound of police cars rang in everyone's ears. Sheriff Black led the police officers from District 13 to the antique shop. Hello. After getting off the car, Sheriff Black greeted Jackie Chan and other old friends, and fixed his eyes on Constantine, a man with conspicuous blonde hair, and said, I'm here on the orders of my superiors, Mr. John Constantine. We want to talk to you. No problem, I heard everything from Anton. Constantine was quite calm, still sitting on the chair that originally belonged to Dad, nodding slightly like a master. Sit down. Seeing this, Dad looked at his chair, then looked at Constantine, and almost made a white crane spreading its wings again to beat Constantine on the chair. Dad. The good man Jackie Chan saw that Dad was unhappy and stepped forward to stop Dad. Constantine blinked when he saw this. Let's get this straight. Sheriff Black said, Mr. Constantine, on the one hand, we appreciate your efforts and help in this incident, and on the other hand, we want to learn more about our opponents and the magic world through you. I can't give you too much information about the magic world. Constantine spread his hands. This is a very closed world. Magicians of various factions form their own systems and rarely communicate with other magicians. Including me and my father, we are not from the same magic system at all, so we didn't know each other before. After that, he added, however, if you want to know more about your opponent, I can only say that about 30% of the various myths that have been passed down from ancient times to the present are real. What? Sheriff Black's pupils shrank. 30% of the myths are real? He subconsciously looked at his father. If I were to say it, I would probably change this 30% to 50%. My father rarely agreed with Constantine's statement and shrugged. Of course, there may be some ancient myths that you have never known, which have been erased in the long river of history. Black was completely dumbfounded. Once again, his view of the world changed. So, the villains in these myths are our opponents? He asked after swallowing. It is possible. Constantine said, of course, the problems of the magic world can only be solved by the magic world. The fact that the earth has been running normally for so many years is enough to prove the problem. You have to believe that this world is still protected by many people. Yes, only magic can defeat magic. Dad nodded again. If you want to plant a pair of eyes in the magic world, or to establish a force, to understand the movements of the magic world, I have a suggestion. Constantine said, in fact, this is also the main purpose of my coming to see you. Please go ahead. Blake was shocked, and a crazy idea popped up in his mind. I want to imitate Batman, and create a magic team. Constantine's tone suddenly became serious, his eyes were sharp, and he swept over everyone present. I call it the Dark Justice League. Dark Justice League. Everyone looked at each other. Imitate Batman? Xiaoyu asked in surprise. Then why don't you just join forces with Batman, and create a Dark Justice League in the name of Batman? Because only magic can defeat magic. Constantine repeated his father's classic catchphrase, Batman has no ability to fight magic. The affairs of the magic world can only be solved by people in the magic world. I agree with this. Dad nodded. I can cooperate with District 13. I will be responsible for providing intelligence and manpower, and you will assist from the side. Constantine said, refer to the cooperation between the Justice League and the military. After a pause, he continued while observing the expressions of the crowd. Of course, the Justice League is our companion. Wonder Woman has magical powers. You can regard her as half a member of the Dark Justice League. This is a serious matter. I need to report to my superiors. Blake hesitated for a while, turned away from the crowd, made a phone call, and finally came to Constantine with a complicated look. The higher-ups agreed. After speaking, he added, but we have some conditions. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 304, The Next Step. Preparation for Shazam. We hope Jackie Chan and Daddy and the others can join the Dark Justice League. Black looked at Jackie Chan and made a decision for him, saying they will represent District 13 and contribute to the alliance. Huh. Jackie Chan was stunned. Great. Xiaoyu jumped up excitedly. Daddy and True had no expression on their faces. As people in the magic world, they automatically assumed the relevant responsibilities and had no objection to this. Okay. Constantine agreed without hesitation. He thought it was a condition. He was simply looking forward to this request from District 13. In this case, can you reveal who are the current members of the Dark Justice League? Black asked again. Me, Jackie Chan's team, Wonder Woman, Johnny Blaze, and an old friend. Constantine thought for a moment and spoke slowly. Old friend? The others looked at each other. Who is the old friend? Black asked. Shazam. Constantine did not hide anything and said frankly, DC has some information about him. If you know DC well enough, you must know Shazam. A little brat? Xiaoyu, as a DC fan and half a magician, was no stranger to Shazam, one of DC's superheroes. She snorted, quite unhappy. What kind of old friend is a little brat? The communication in the antique shop continued. Anton knew that this great magic event caused by the devil had come to an end. The establishment of the Dark Justice League found a foothold for Constantine to get involved in various types of magic events in the future, and also found a lot of companions for Constantine, as well as official forces as backing. After Constantine's communication with Jackie Chan and others ended, he would disappear temporarily in the name of looking for other companions. The events related to the Dark Justice League will be followed by Johnny's spell on Mephisto and Jackie Chan's future adventures. Of course, Anton will also start his official work. He has never forgotten that he is still a director. After spending these days in Los Angeles, more than a month has passed since the last filming. During this process, he became the boss of the Men in Black organization jointly established by the World Security Council, and also exchanged Constantine, and initially established the Dark Justice League of the DC world. It can be said to be fruitful. Next, it is time to take the next step. The next step has two main purposes. First, to promote the early release of Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, and with the help of Batman's fame and credibility, drive Superman's fan value to increase exponentially, and exchange Superman, the god on Earth, who can sweep half of the Earth. Today, Superman's fan value has exceeded 70 million after the release and broadcast of Man of Steel and Smallville, and Batman's fan value has exceeded 200 million worldwide. If you don't fleece Batman, who else can you fleece? Anyway, they are all your clones. Anton must be happy to see it happen. Second, it is to strengthen the power of the initially established Dark Justice League. The easiest way is to get Shazam. Just now, Anton used Constantine's mouth to reveal the real existence of Shazam. The next step is naturally to shoot an independent movie about Shazam. He looked at the system panel and saw the fan data about Shazam. Shazam fan value 6.12 million. Compared with the 30 million positive fan value that Shazam needs, it is not so miserable, but compared with other heroes, it can be regarded as a little pitiful. Of course, at present DC's content about Shazam is only novels and comics, and even animation has not yet started production, let alone movies and TV series. It is completely understandable that there are only this much fan value. So there are still more than 20 million short, which is not a difficult goal to achieve. On the contrary, it is much easier than I thought. Anton touched his chin and thought of the movie about Shazam in his previous life. Thunder Shazam. A bad movie with no fun at all. The investment cost was between 80 million and 100 million. It earned 346 million box office worldwide when it was released, barely making a profit, but the reputation was extremely bad. For a highly anticipated superhero movie, Thunder Shazam is undoubtedly a failure. When Anton watched movies in his previous life, he only felt that an adult pretending to be childish, with boring actions and empty slogans, performed a cheesy street drama, which made people feel sick. Obviously, in this world, when he was preparing to shoot Shazam, he could not completely refer to the original work in his mind, and he had to make some changes. This point had to be handed over to the gold medal screenwriter of DC. Anton did not think he was a good screenwriter. Even though he had made so many movies, he had just started and had only figured out some tricks. The reason why he was hailed as a great director was, on the one hand, because of the light of those great directors in his previous life, and on the other hand, it was naturally because of the promotion of the Justice League and his own background. If he was not the heir of the Jameson family and could not take out a large share of funds to invest, where would so many assistant directors come from? Anton still had a clear understanding of the limits of his ability. Professional matters should be handed over to professionals. After thinking about it, he returned to the crew in the Hollywood studio and discussed the film project about Shazam with Jim. Jim was naturally excited. He knew that Anton would not be content with loneliness. Although it is meaningless for Anton to make movies or not in his current position as a senior executive of DC, Anton is willing to make new movies which will maximize the interests of DC and himself. In this world, which director can surpass Anton? Putting aside the two amazing identities of being a formal member of the Justice League and the only heir to the new wealthy Jameson family, let's just talk about Anton's directorial career. He debuted only 2 years ago. He shot 4 movies in 2 years. The global box office of the 4 movies added up to more than $2 billion. Hellblazer, which was just released not long ago, even though the box office fluctuated greatly due to the New York War, it also earned $536 million when it was released worldwide last week. Although Hellblazer is Anton's lowest box office movie so far, compared with the investment amount of Hellblazer, it is definitely a great success. Anton is a person who has reached the peak since his debut, and has always been at the peak. Now I don't know how many people are looking forward to Anton's announcement of the establishment of a new project immediately. At the same time, large investors are waving money and flocking to it. If the news leaks, the door of DC will be trampled by these people. Don't be too anxious about the preparation of the Shazam movie. Anton ordered. At present, your top priority is still Batman v Superman. You must make sure that this movie is exciting enough and within your ability. I want to see it released as soon as possible. Happy 520 everyone. Thinking that there are still people reading novels on 520. I guess everyone is single and my heart is balanced. Chapter 305. Letter from Harry. Nick Fury appears again. As for Shazam, this movie needs to capture the fun and the big scenes. If these 2 points are not well integrated, it will become a bad movie. Anton said. In addition, the character setting of this movie will be a bit troublesome. You need to spend a certain amount of energy to find the right actors, so you must prepare carefully. Don't worry. Jim nodded happily. I always listen to your orders, as if they were imperial decrees. I like this flattery. Anton thought for a while and said, also, my suggestion is that you need to find a quirky little boy who must be likable. In addition, I suggest you find a comedian for the male lead. Such an actor is more competent for the role of Shazam. In Anton's conception, the previous life Shazam did not achieve the expected effect. If the pale plot accounted for 60% of the responsibility, then the actor's roles that could not resonate should also be responsible for about 20%. The remaining 20% is naturally shared by everyone. In other words, if the little boy in Home Alone can become Shazam, and Jim Carrey, who has played many classic roles, can be the male lead, the Western version of Stephen Chow will add 2 highlights to the plot, no matter how bad or pale it is. Understood. Jim remembered Anton's instructions and nodded. After thinking for a while, he said, by the way, Batman v Superman will be finished in about half a month. With the support of Quentin's holographic projection, our special effects technology has reached the best in the world. No special effects production company can compare with our real-life shooting. You don't have to worry about the final effect of this movie. Jim patted his chest and guaranteed, in a month, you will see the most shocking results. In this movie, Batman is the male lead after all. In today's world, I don't know how many people are looking forward to seeing Batman in the cinema. Even if it is a fake Batman, it makes people yearn for it. You know, the actor who plays Batman has become the hottest figure in Hollywood, without a doubt, under the love of many Batman fans. Of course, the actor himself did not dare to be too proud, especially in front of DC. He was extremely dedicated and was afraid that the role would be replaced. He knew very well that his fame was inevitable. With Batman's help, he could get his current status, even if he tied a dog. Okay. Anton was quite relieved about Jim and nodded. I have finished my work in Los Angeles and will return to New York first. I hope that as you said, I can see the most shocking results in a month. According to Jim's words, all the work of Batman v Superman will be completed in a month, and it will only be released. So, Superman can be replaced in 2 months at the latest. Good news. Anton was in a good mood and patted Jim on the shoulder. If the effect is really as you said, then for your previous proposal, the Justice League versus the Avengers, I will let DC work hard. Everything is subject to your requirements. It's a deal. Jim was overjoyed. Soon, Anton got on the return flight. Ding dong. As soon as he got on the plane, he received a message from Harry. Anton saw the content of the communication and narrowed his eyes slightly. Tony Stark wants to rebuild the Avengers and rename it the Illuminati. He has invited me to join. During the few days I stayed in Los Angeles, Constantine finished his work perfectly. The Dark Justice League was established, and the next plan entered the implementation stage. The appearance of Superman is just around the corner. Just like after the New York War, the Marvel Cinematic Universe entered the second stage. Anton's life in this world also entered the next stage naturally. There is the Justice League headed by Batman, which includes Marvel heroes such as Spider-Man and original DC members such as Wonder Woman. The wings are growing stronger and stronger, and the Jameson family of Wayne Company was established and built. The Black Organization, which is mainly under its own public identity, and is affiliated with the World Security Council, and is responsible for handling alien affairs, including his own subordinates. He also controls 2 major companies, controls public opinion, and is quite trusted by the public. The Daily Bugle, which provides services for special system plugins, and culturally invades the other world. There are also allies of the old American military in the underground giant power high table. After a little calculation, Anton once again realized that he has grown into a towering tree. Putting aside his overwhelming power, at least, there are only a handful of people or forces on this earth that can threaten him. But there is another question. Anton suddenly thought of the text message Harry sent when he just got on the plane. The Illuminati? Exclamation mark. Of course, he couldn't have not heard of this notorious organization in the original Marvel comic world. Anton could not have imagined Tony's intention to establish the Illuminati after the Avengers disbanded. On the one hand, Tony's inner pride made him unwilling to admit defeat. On the other hand, it may be related to Tony's anxiety disorder. In the original plot, Tony was kidnapped because he had been in crisis on Earth one after another, and he had experienced life and death many times, which made him feel fear and anxiety. Coupled with various realistic factors, he suffered from anxiety disorder and felt that he could only feel safe by hiding in the armor. In this world, although many crises were solved by Batman, Tony's Iron Man role often appeared and was suppressed every time. After the Battle of Washington led by Hydra and the Battle of New York not long ago, Iron Man's reputation plummeted. In the Battle of Washington, the Avengers made wrong decisions under the influence of Hydra, and during the Battle of New York, Loki used the Mind Stone to influence the Avengers. Almost all members of the Avengers, except Captain America, were criticized by the world. Among them, Tony, who was the most famous and extremely high profile in the past, must have received the most abuse. There is no doubt that this made Tony Stark, who was extremely proud in his heart, feel unprecedented depression. Anxiety disorder? Anton didn't think that Tony in this world suffered from anxiety disorder, but it can be imagined that Tony in this world has never had many moments of peace in his heart since he became Iron Man. No matter what the purpose of Tony's establishment of the Illuminati is, it must be the purpose of seeking a sense of security. Or, it must be added to catch up with, or even surpass Batman, and regain public recognition. Anton fell into deep thought. Time flies. The plane landed at the New York airport. However, the person who came to greet him was not the DC company he imagined, but a man in a black suit and black sunglasses. His deputy, a former military agent and now the second in command of the Men in Black, Zed. What's the matter? Anton looked at Zed in surprise. He didn't receive any information about the latter's movements. Judging from Zed's solemn expression, the matter was definitely not ordinary. We found Nick Fury, Zed said in a deep voice, and then added, in Stark Industries. Chapter 307, Meeting Harry. Insert the nail. After Anton's reminder, the three people in the sewer experiment group realized the importance of the research on the Skrulls they were conducting more than ever before. It can be said that this is more critical than any research they have done before. Whether they can thwart the alien conspiracy depends entirely on their personal abilities. This is not only a challenge to mankind, but also a challenge to themselves. The three people suddenly felt a great pressure. Don't worry, I believe in your abilities. Seeing this, Anton clearly felt that the atmosphere in the laboratory became solemn, and smiled and said, before things get worse, I will continue to pay attention and do my best to give you enough research time. As for other things, you don't have to worry about it. He certainly has confidence in the three people in front of him. Mr. Fantastic, Dr. Lizard, and the Hulk. No matter who these three guys are, they are definitely the world's top scientists. Especially Mr. Fantastic Reed. In the comics, he is the one who cracked the Skrulls' camouflage ability. At this time, if the three top Marvel scientists unite and cannot produce the final results, it can only be said that humans deserve to die, and the Skrulls should not die. We will try our best. Karnas replied after hearing Anton's encouragement. Good. On the other side, Reed nodded. We will do our best. Well, you continue. I won't bother you. If there is any progress or need, you can notify me immediately. Anton said, believe me, with my current ability, no matter what you need, I can get it for you within 3 days. Understood. The three nodded. Then, Anton left the sewer laboratory, took a taxi, and went straight to Oscorp. Oscorp. Top floor. Chairman's office. Although it is time to get off work now, Harry is still busy. I don't know how many documents are waiting for him to sign every day. Not long ago, although his father Norman Osborn returned to the company, he only took over the work for half a month and then returned all the burdens to him after he was released on bail and ran back home to study weapons and various genetic technologies. Norman himself is also a top scientist and a fanatic of genetic science. After Norman failed to research the cure for his family's genetic disease, he knew that he could not complete this research with his own ability, so he became a workaholic. In the name of Osborn, he recruited experts from all over the world in biological science and genetic science, hoping to gather these people together to research new results. The result was naturally a failure. Now, the family's genetic disease has a chance to be completely cured under the effect of the life potion developed by Carnes and others. Norman is no longer under pressure, so he has regained his interest as a scientist and started various research work. He completely let go of Osborn and handed over the company's affairs to his son, Harry Osborn. Knock, knock. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door, disrupting Harry's signing. He looked up slightly and saw his assistant pushing the door in. "Sir, Anton Jameson wants to see you. Please let him in." Harry was startled and ordered, "By the way, did he say what he wanted to see me for?" "No." The assistant shook his head. "Okay, just let him in." Harry said seriously, "Remember, this is a private meeting. No one and nothing should disturb me before the meeting with him is over." "Understood." The assistant nodded. A moment later, Anton met Harry. Harry now has changed drastically from the immature look when they first met. Although his face is still a bit immature, he exudes the aura of a superior, no longer an ordinary rich second generation. "Long time no see, Harry." Anton sat on the sofa and said bluntly, "I'll be frank, I'm not here for the Illuminati." Harry was stunned. Not for the Illuminati? This was very different from the conversation he imagined. Apart from the Illuminati, he didn't understand why Anton had to come to see him. "Did you meet Nick Fury during this period?" Then, Anton asked another question that made Harry particularly puzzled, saying, "Or, has Nick Fury contacted you alone, or other Avengers members besides you?" "No." Harry frowned slightly and shook his head in thought. "I haven't seen Nick Fury for a long time." Then he added, "As for whether other people have met or contacted Nick Fury, I don't know." Then, "What about Tony Stark?" Anton asked, "Do you think Tony Stark has met Nick Fury during this period, or whether the two have had a private contact?" "It's hard to say." Harry still shook his head, his face more and more puzzled. "Why do you ask this? What happened?" "Nick Fury has a problem." Anton sighed. "Things are tricky. I suspect that Nick Fury may be an alien in disguise." "Alien in disguise?" Harry opened his eyes wide, and a touch of extreme disbelief flashed across his eyes. Anton's words were not beating around the bush, so he could fully understand the specific meaning of this sentence. "You know, I'm the boss of the Men in Black now." The Men in Black is an organization set up by the World Security Council specifically for alien affairs. Anton explained simply, "As far as I know, since the 1990s, a group of aliens have come to Earth. They are called Skrulls. They have the ability to transform and can disguise themselves as humans and mingle in human society." After listening, Harry asked, "If Nick Fury is an alien in disguise, what does this have to do with Tony?" "The Skrulls are hiding in SWORD, which is affiliated with SHIELD. Nick Fury took the initiative to request a transfer to SWORD not long ago, but after the Skrulls were exposed, Nick Fury wanted to take responsibility and simply ran away with the Skrulls and left the Earth." Anton said, "But we found that Nick Fury, who was supposed to have left the Earth, appeared in Stark Industries." At this point, the whole thing was clear. Harry reviewed what Anton said, and it was a little sudden, and at the same time, he was more and more shocked. He sorted out his thoughts and said slowly, "So, you think that the Nick Fury who appeared in Stark Industries is an alien in disguise, and the real Nick Fury has left the Earth?" "Yes." Anton nodded. "This information is truly confidential, and only a very few people know it. If the Skrull pretending to be Nick Fury has some inappropriate ideas, he will definitely take action. At present, it seems that he has found Tony Stark, and next, he may contact you remaining former Avengers members. I understand. After hearing what Anton said, Harry completely understood the purpose of Anton's visit, which was nothing more than trying to put a nail in the door. Old routine. Harry immediately said, if there is any situation, I will notify you immediately. Chapter 308 Split Up. Head to Stark Industries. Harry was already familiar with this operation. The reason why he joined the Avengers before was also because of Anton's instructions. Now, using the identity of the former Avengers members to test the potential crisis mentioned by Anton is nothing more than copying the previous operation. Then thank you for your help. Anton stood up. We have a solution to this matter. What we lack most at present is time. No matter what, we must get enough time. Do you need me to do anything? Harry asked. Not for the time being, just help me keep an eye on the former Avengers. If you meet Nick Fury, or he contacts you, you can do it yourself, as long as you don't alert the enemy. After Anton finished speaking, he said goodbye and left. Harry watched him go away, stood there, and fell into deep thought. Another alien. In the past 2 years, there have been many cases of aliens appearing on Earth. From the alien Lang's invasion of the Earth, Transformers, Chitauri, and even Asgard members such as Thor, to the Skrulls who have the ability to transform and can disguise themselves as humans. The Earth is facing a critical turning point. Humanity is facing a new era. It seems that I have also become a part of the great era. Harry suddenly smiled. Compared with his previous dull life, he was not dissatisfied with his current life. The next day, Anton received a message from Zed, which was not from Nick Fury. Since this Nick Fury, whose authenticity cannot be confirmed at present, appeared in Stark Industries, he disappeared again. The Men in Black did not capture any information about Nick Fury. However, this did not make the Men in Black feel that the intelligence was wrong. Instead, it made them more certain that the Nick Fury they met at Stark Industries was disguised by the Skrulls. Do you want to see Mariah Rambeau? Anton picked up the phone and talked to his subordinates on the other end of the phone. That's right, Zed said. Mariah Rambeau, as the director of SWORD, has sheltered the Skrulls for so many years. If she is really a smart person, then they must have countermeasures against the existence of the Skrulls. I want to talk to her. No problem. Anton pondered for a moment. I will apply to the World Security Council. You go to see her alone. Don't reveal detailed information, but you can try to find out. Understood. Zed nodded. By the way, we found out that Tony Stark has been doing some kind of experiment in Stark Industries during this period. The specific content is still unclear, but I suspect that since this fake Nick Fury went to Stark Industries, it is very likely related to this mysterious experiment. What you mean? Anton suddenly realized. Let me go to Stark Industries to see Tony Stark and see what he is doing. Just a suggestion. Zed said. You are the boss. You have the final say. Okay, this suggestion is good. Anton is not a stubborn person. He is better at being a hands-off boss. Zed, the second in command of the Men in Black, has completely set up the framework of the Men in Black, and the effect is good, which shows that his ability is indeed extraordinary. His suggestions will never be just talk on paper. So, the two of them acted separately. After Anton applied, the World Security Council quickly approved the Men in Black's request to meet with Mariah Rambeau. Zed took the stamped file and went to the prison where Mariah Rambeau was imprisoned. Anton came to the Stark building, which was located in the most central location of Manhattan, New York. It was severely damaged in the New York War, but was restored in just over a month. He came here without an appointment. Of course, with his current identity, he can go anywhere with a face. When the receptionist at Stark Tower saw Anton coming, she recognized him immediately, even though it was her first time seeing him, and said respectfully, "Hello, Mr. Jameson, do you have an appointment?" "No, I don't think I need one either." Anton said, "Go tell Tony Stark that Anton Jameson wants to see him." The receptionist hesitated. "I don't have the authority to contact Mr. Stark." After a pause, "But I can contact the chairman's assistant for you, and through her, you can find the chairman, Miss Pepper Potts. Maybe Miss Potts can help you. As long as I can see Tony Stark as soon as possible, I have no objection." Anton nodded. A moment later, in the reception room inside Stark Tower, Anton waited for Pepper Potts, the current chairman of Stark Industries and Tony Stark's former assistant. Anton, long time no see. The current chairman of Stark Industries, nicknamed Pepper, was quite surprised by Anton's arrival. She and Anton had not met many times, but they knew each other. You came so suddenly, and you want to see Tony. Is there something special? Boz's face was slightly worried, showing his inner uneasiness. After a brief greeting with Anton, he got straight to the point. As Batman's spokesperson, Anton's sudden visit made it difficult for her to calm down. In addition to the previous events, Tony had many conflicts with Batman as Iron Man. Boz couldn't judge Anton's purpose for a while. There are indeed some things. Anton nodded, but these things are not convenient to tell you. I want to see Tony first. He is in the laboratory. It's hard for me to see him now. Boz had no choice but to stand up and said, "Come with me." Anton came to the laboratory. This is located on the lower floor of the penthouse of Stark Tower. The whole floor is Tony's private research room. Through the glass, Anton saw a spray-painted Iron Man armor placed on the wall. After a careful count, there are about 40. Since the end of the New York War, Tony's workload has obviously been heavy in the past month. He has entered a crazy state in the development of his armor. In addition, Anton also met an unexpected person here. Dr. Octopus. Otto. Otto is here too? Anton looked at Potts in surprise. After the Battle of New York, he has been doing research with Tony at Stark Industries? Yes. Potts nodded and explained. After the Battle of New York, the Avengers disbanded, and Otto and his team lost the protection of S.H.I.E.L.D., but they were acquitted because of the Avengers, so they regained their freedom. Tony gave them a job. They? Anton narrowed his eyes. He could guess that the they here must refer to Otto and the Sandman. At this time, Tony, who was doing an experiment, turned his head and saw Anton next to Potts and paused. The two looked at each other. Then, under Anton's gaze, Tony put down the container in his hand and walked towards him. Chapter 309, Scolding Tony. Making a feint to the east and attacking in the west. Anton, what are you doing here? Tony looked at Anton expressionlessly, with his arms folded across his chest. He looked quite cold and did not welcome Anton's arrival. This was indeed the case. Batman was Tony's imaginary enemy now. Tony secretly created the Illuminati, which was partly intended to fight against Batman. As a member of the Justice League, Anton was naturally not welcomed by Tony. I want to talk to you, Anton said bluntly, then looked at Boz beside him and Dr. Octopus Otto beside Tony, and added, it's a one-on-one talk. Tony frowned slightly. He knew Anton well, and from the latter's request, he could see the importance of the matter. It was obviously not a simple situation that could make Anton treat it so seriously. You leave here first and give us some space, Tony ordered. Boz looked at Tony worriedly. Otto did not hesitate and walked out of the laboratory obediently. He knew that, no matter what the situation was now, he was unable to participate. Soon, only Anton and Tony were left on the entire floor. Why are you here? Tony and Anton looked at each other for a moment and suddenly asked, for Nick Fury? Oh. Anton was a little surprised and raised his eyebrows. You know? I don't know. Tony shook his head, smiling, but the eyes planted by the men in black in Stark Industries are too conspicuous. Just like when you play games, a red prompt will appear on the head of the enemy. There is no concealment at all. I asked Jarvis to hack into their information network and found the name of Nick Fury, and after a pause, Tony's eyes narrowed slightly. Information about the Skrulls. So, with this information, you guessed the purpose of my trip. Anton said, that makes sense. He was not surprised that Tony could find the eyes planted by the men in black in Stark Industries. With Jarvis, an artificial intelligence that has almost reached the extreme of current Earth technology, it is indeed difficult for anyone to make trouble in Stark Industries. In his words, he habitually ignored the full of sarcasm in Tony's words. Do you think the Nick Fury I saw was disguised as a Skrull? Tony raised his chin and said calmly, it seems that there is something I don't know about this. Although Jarvis is here, there are still many secrets in this world that Tony doesn't know about. For example, SWORD was disbanded, the former director Mariah Rambeau was arrested, and Nick Fury took the Skrulls away on a spaceship. This information was blocked very tightly, and there was no word on the internet. The few pieces of information were stored in the supercomputers that were disconnected from the internet and circulated only in the internal network of the military or the World Security Council. Even if Jarvis is invincible, he cannot invade the internal network from the public network. I'm too lazy to tell you the details of the details. You just need to know that, based on the information I have now, Nick Fury should have left the Earth and taken the Skrulls to the universe on a spaceship. Anton said, since you have guessed the purpose of my trip, then tell me directly whether there is any problem with the Nick Fury you met. I haven't met Nick Fury. Tony shook his head. I've been busy with research recently and have no time to care about other people. Oh. Anton frowned. If you didn't meet him, why did he come to Stark Industries? Who knows? Tony shrugged and said nonchalantly, maybe he came here for a stroll when he was free. Tony, I'm not in the mood to talk nonsense with you. Anton didn't indulge this Marvel dad at all. He sneered. Anyway, I'm the boss of the Men in Black now. I can arrest you and bring you to the Men in Black for investigation at any time for crimes against humanity. If you don't explain clearly, it's no big deal for me to lock you up for a few months. By the way, your reputation has plummeted recently, and many people regard you as a shame to mankind. After a pause, he observed Tony's expression and continued, if the news that you have been arrested for crimes against humanity spreads, I'm afraid you will never be able to change your image in the eyes of the public. You will only be seen as a criminal for the rest of your life, so I advise you to cooperate. Are you threatening me? Tony looked ugly in an instant, and anger ignited in his eyes. The atmosphere in the entire laboratory became solemn, and the air seemed to be burning with sparks. It's not a threat, it's an advice. Anton said sternly, I don't care what you want to do, because I think that no matter how crazy you are, you will not become a villain. As your former opponent, I still have this confidence in you. But since you know the information about the Skrulls, you must know their harm. If they are really planning to secretly invade the Earth, then now the situation has entered the most critical stage. If we don't find them, no one will be at peace. At this point, his tone turned into deep disappointment. But you still disappoint me. If you had a sense of the overall situation, you wouldn't be able to talk to me in such a bad temper now. A series of words hit Tony like raindrops. Tony's face became more and more ugly. Of course, he knew that Anton was provoking him, but he also knew in his heart that Anton was right. He had no way to refute it, so he showed weakness a little. I haven't met Nick Fury, and I don't know what his purpose is in coming to Stark Industries. His tone became better, and he said, I can show you the surveillance video at that time. While speaking, he ordered, Jarvis, call up the surveillance at that time. Okay, sir. After Jarvis finished speaking, he called up the surveillance video record. In the air, in front of Anton and Tony, a picture was projected from the corner, forming an extremely realistic 3D picture, recreating the scene at that time. Anton stood in the scene, watching Nick Fury wearing a peaked cap and walking into Stark Industries. There were several pairs of eyes staring at this guy in the corner. It was working time, and the crowd was surging. As soon as the black marinated egg in the scene turned the corner, he disappeared and merged into the crowd. He disappeared. Tony said frankly, your intelligence is wrong. He just came in and walked around and left. Wandered around and left. Anton didn't think Tony would lie and fell into deep thought. Why did he have to come here and walk around? Doesn't he understand that it is easy to expose himself by doing so? Either it was a wrong decision or it was a diversion. Tony expressed his guess, saying, the reason why he appeared in Stark Industries may just be to confuse your sight. Chapter 310, Speculations. The Skrulls are divided, confusing sights, making a feint to the east and attacking in the west. Anton frowned. Skrulls have the ability to transform. Why do you think Nick Fury has really left? Because I have been keeping track of his location through surveillance. Tony spread his hands. Come on, you don't think I can't even think of this, do you? After a pause, he explained confidently, Jarvis's data processing speed exceeds all supercomputers in the world. Through the faces and numbers that can be recognized by surveillance cameras throughout New York, I can always find the person who shouldn't be here in the crowd by comparing big data. As he spoke, the simulated image projected by Jarvis around Anton continued to change. But no matter how it changed, there was always a person with a red halo on his head, just like the hostile identification in the game. So, you know where this guy pretending to be Nick Fury is? Anton's eyes lit up. Not bad. Tony nodded. He is in an apartment building in Brooklyn, which should be their safe house. Give me the location. I will verify your guess. Anton said. No. Tony shook his head. I want to go with you. Okay, whatever you want. Anton turned around, and Tony followed him. The two took the elevator to the garage. Take my car. After Tony got in the car, he looked at Anton from the driver's seat. Your car is not as fast as mine. Anton shrugged, not intending to argue with Tony, opened the passenger door and sat in. But, the next second, the Audi sports car modified by Tony sped out, and the exhaust seemed to spit out flames. On the other side, the second in command of the Men in Black, Agent Zed, met Mariah Rambeau. In the fairly spacious room, only Zed and Mariah were facing each other. I'm an agent of the Men in Black, Ms. Zed, Mariah Rambeau. I think you know why I'm here. After introducing himself, Zed said, the Skrulls are a huge threat to humans. Although in your statement, Nick Fury has taken all the Skrulls away from Earth, as far as we know, this is not true. I don't know anything. Mariah Rambeau shook her head, but you should know that the Skrulls are very smart, and their fear of humans is far beyond your imagination. So, I don't think they will do anything stupid. Fear of humans? Zed frowned slightly, not quite understanding the meaning of this sentence. I don't mean to refute your words, but if everything I said is true, do you have any suggestions? He thought for a while and asked again. I can't give you too much advice. Although the Skrulls have been on Earth for so many years, in fact, Nick Fury and I did not give them full trust as you think. Mariah said, at least, under the control of Nick Fury and me, the Skrulls have always been very obedient. Have you ever thought that only the part of the Skrulls you contacted listened to you? Zed said, as far as I know, the Skrulls are a refugee race in the universe. Their homeland has long fallen apart. All the Skrulls in the universe are wanderers. Maybe there are other Skrulls wandering in the universe who came to Earth with the help of these people and have other intentions for the Earth. Mariah Rambeau suddenly fell silent. She found that she could not refute the other party. After all, the Skrulls' innate ability to transform makes everyone in their race the best spy. You should know that I have a daughter. Suddenly, Mariah spoke. Zed nodded. Yes, Monica Rambeau, I know her. What's the problem? I can't give you more advice, but Monica can. After saying this, Mariah stood up and left. Under the guidance of the guard at the door, she returned to the private room in the prison. Zed did not stop her and watched Mariah leave. He had already got the information he wanted. Monica Rambeau, he murmured, his face expressionless, but a hint of excitement flashed in his eyes. Just as he thought, Mariah Rambeau had kept a hand and was on guard against the Skrulls, a race of space refugees. New York. Brooklyn. An ordinary apartment building. Tony drove his flamboyant sports car, and the huge exhaust sound resounded throughout the street. Passersby looked sideways. Anton was a little helpless. If you drive like this, I'm afraid the whole apartment building can hear a rival. What does it matter? Tony shrugged. I asked Jarvis to monitor this building. Since that person walked into the apartment, he has never walked out again. Never walked out again. When Anton heard this, he had an ominous premonition in his heart. Quick. As soon as Tony parked the car, he immediately opened the door and rushed into the apartment. Quick, something is wrong. Something is wrong? Tony was stunned and frowned, but he didn't realize what was wrong. Following Anton, he walked into the apartment quickly. Anton, who was in front of him, kicked open the door according to the room number he provided, and saw a stinking Skrull corpse lying in the small living room. He's dead. Anton stood in front of the corpse and sighed. We are late. How could it be? Tony frowned, a little unbelievable. Jarvis has been watching him. Since he came in, no one has entered or left this room. How could he die at home for no reason? Tony whispered to himself, is it suicide? It's not suicide, it's murder. Anton looked at the corpse and keenly noticed that there was a tiny imperceptible pinhole on the neck of the Skrull corpse. It should be an injected poison. He pondered. Someone sneaked into this room secretly and killed him with poison. But why? Tony was still puzzled. Why kill him? Who wants to kill him? Is it an internal conflict among the Skrulls? Internal conflict? Anton suddenly had an idea. Yes, internal conflict. How to explain? Tony looked at Anton. Is it possible that the dead Skrull was actually Nick Fury's man? Anton guessed. The Skrulls on Earth are divided into two factions. One faction wants to secretly invade the Earth, and the other faction supports Nick Fury and intends to live in peace with the Earth. However, for some reason, Nick Fury left the Earth with the Skrulls who supported him to avoid misunderstandings, leaving behind a lot of trouble. After a pause, he slowly said, in order to remind us, Nick Fury may have left a few Skrulls, intending to secretly remind humans. Chapter 311, Under Investigation. Tyler Hayward. Although Anton didn't think highly of Nick Fury, who was always using shady tactics, he had to admit that any action of Nick Fury was good in its original intention, that is, in its starting point. Ignoring the process and the result, and only looking at the starting point, Nick Fury could be considered a noble man. Unfortunately, Nick Fury's behavior made Anton a little disgusted. So, this Skrull was killed by his compatriots. Tony pondered. No, they shouldn't be called compatriots now. If it's true as you said, they have probably become enemies. Anyway, it's basically confirmed that there are still Skrulls on Earth, and this group of Skrulls are plotting against the Earth and humans. Anton took out his cell phone, made a call, and ordered the men in black to collect the body and take the body back for an autopsy to see what caused the Skrull's death. Immediately afterwards, he received a text message from Zed. Monica Rambeau. A thought flashed through his mind, and he turned and left the room. Hey, where are you going? Tony asked loudly when he saw this. It has nothing to do with you. Anton waved his hand. Since you are not involved in the Skrull incident, then mind your own business. After that, he walked to the side of the road and prepared to hail a taxi. A moment later, Tony drove his Audi and stopped in front of Anton. I think you need me now. Tony put on the sunglasses in the car, shrugged his shoulders, and said proudly as always, you came to Stark Industries because of the Skrulls. How can you say that this matter has nothing to do with me? As he said that, the passenger door opened automatically. Get in the car. Tony said, you can't get a taxi now. Oh. Anton raised his eyebrows. How do you know I can't get a taxi? I asked Jarvis to send a message to all taxi drivers in Brooklyn, asking them to drive to Stark Industries and pay double the fare by mileage. Tony said, so, all taxis in Brooklyn should have left Brooklyn now. Anton was speechless, then got in the car and said, you are really a loser. Same here. Tony stepped on the accelerator as he spoke. By the way, where are we going now? Columbia University. Anton said, looking for a woman named Monica Rambeau. Monica Rambeau. In the comics, she is a superhero Spectrum, who once served as Captain Marvel, and has many code names. She has also appeared in Marvel's movie and TV universe. In the movie, she is the black girl who is the friend of Carol Danvers, the former director of SWORD, and the daughter of Mariah Rambeau, the former director of SWORD, who appeared in the plot of Captain Marvel. After growing up, she appeared in the TV universe and became a member of SWORD, and also gained superpowers due to the Wanda incident. The superhero, Spectrum, will probably appear in various Marvel series or movies in the future. Of course, none of this matters. Anton went to Columbia University to find Monica Rambeau at this time, not to make friends with the future superhero Spectrum, but for the Skrulls. Monica Rambeau. Tony's ears soon rang with Jarvis's announcement, and he quickly learned the cause and effect. Director of SWORD, Mariah Rambeau's daughter. Do you think she has some information? He asked Anton. Anton said, it's not that I think, but she does have some information. Okay. Tony nodded. You made me look at you in a new light, Anton. I thought you looked at me in a new light after the bet between the two of us ended. Anton shrugged. In fact, it's not that early yet. Tony said, if I have the help of Batman and invite a dozen assistant directors, I can also shoot Batman Begins. Soon. The two came to Columbia University and found Monica Rambeau, who had just finished class. Their arrival attracted the attention of many people. Tony Stark, Anton Jameson. These two are super celebrities. Even Hollywood stars may not be more famous than these two. One is a member of the Justice League. The other is a former member of the Avengers. The arrival of the two made many people in Columbia feel excited and terrified. Is Columbia University going to have an accident? Some people thought of Anton's performance at a dinner party at Columbia University and solved several terrorists, and they immediately had wild thoughts. Monica Rambeau saw the two people who came to her door at the first time. She was very sure that she was their target. Looking around, she showed a trace of helplessness and then made a look. Anton nodded obscurely. He and Tony returned to the car and drove to an empty alleyway to pick up Monica Rambeau, who was waiting at the intersection. "You are finally here." Monica was very calm, without any panic on her face, as if she had expected this scene. "You seem very sure that we will come," Anton asked. "The first time you saw us just now, you knew that we came for you, right? Ever since my mother was arrested, I knew this day would come." Monica said. "The Skrulls rebelled, right?" "Yes." Anton nodded. "Maybe I should introduce myself. I'm Anton Jameson, a member of the Justice League and the boss of the Men in Black." Men in Black? Monica was curious. An organization established by the World Security Council after the Battle of New York to deal with extraterrestrial affairs. Anton said, "Now, everything about the investigation of the Skrulls is up to me." "Oh." Monica looked at Tony, who was driving. "What about him? He's just making up the numbers. Insignificant." Anton ignored Tony's angry look and said, "You should know what I want to ask, so I won't waste my words. Miss Monica Rambeau, please tell me everything you know." "Tyler Hayward." Monica said, "I can only give you this name. A member of SWRD, Mariah Rambeau's deputy." Anton had read the information about SWRD, and with the information from his previous life, he also had a little understanding of this name. After Mariah Rambeau died, it was this Tyler Hayward who took over SWRD. In the TV series Wanda and Vision, the person who advocated the dismantling of Vision's body was this Tyler Hayward. Before Anton traveled through time, some people on the internet speculated that this Tyler Hayward might be a Skrull. Now that Monica Rambeau had heard this name, it was almost certain that, even if Tyler Hayward was not a Skrull, he must have a close relationship with the Skrulls. A traitor. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 312 Special Forces Action. Captain Marvel appears. Tyler Hayward, a member of SWORD. During Anton's conversation with Monica, Tony also used some means to collect information about this person. After SWORD was disbanded, Tyler Hayward joined SHIELD and is currently a member of the SHIELD office in Washington. He muttered as he drove towards Stark Tower. Although SHIELD's headquarters moved away from Washington and the focus of work shifted from the United States to Europe, where Hydra was entrenched, it did not mean that SHIELD would evacuate the United States. They retained an office at the original site of their headquarters, which is in the Washington area. It is convenient for SHIELD agents to carry out their missions and get sufficient supplies. This is a very reasonable approach. Anton heard the information Tony was muttering and saw the direction he was driving, and he could tell his purpose at a glance. "You want to go to Washington with us?" I said. "This matter is now related to me." Soon, a plane took off from the apron of the Stark Industrial Building. Whoosh! The plane rushed towards Washington. Washington. The special forces occupying the former headquarters building of S.H.I.E.L.D. received a message from the Men in Black organization where Anton was. "Please help arrest Tyler Hayward, a former member of SWORD and current member of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s Washington office." Although there is no fixed connection between the special forces and the Men in Black, it is undeniable that they have had several contacts with the boss of the Men in Black, Anton Jameson, and the cooperation is quite pleasant. As both organizations are under the command of the United Nations, Hawk did not mean to refuse. This happened to be an opportunity to train troops. Assemble. Hawk gave the order, and within a few minutes, a group of well-dressed and fully armed Special Forces members stood in front of him. Everyone, there is a new mission. Hawk looked at the people in front of him and said, this time we are helping our old friend, the Men in Black organization, where Anton Jameson is, to capture a criminal suspect. This person is extremely dangerous and may be involved in alien crimes, so this mission is also our opportunity. He looked at his deputy and the team. Duke, you will be in charge this time. I will stay at the headquarters and wait for your good news. Understood. Duke saluted. I guarantee to complete the mission. Soon. The Special Forces assembled and set off. This Special Forces action team led by the Deputy Commander of the Special Forces, Duke, is composed of the most elite members of the Special Forces. In addition to Duke, there are Snake Eyes, Roadhog, Parachute Opener, Cover Girl, Miss Jane, Heavy Artillery and Blake, etc. In the last Battle of New York, although the Special Forces team suffered heavy casualties, they also became the focus of everyone's attention with their outstanding performance. Keep remembrance and respect for the teammates who sacrificed, and be full of expectations for the future. This is the code of conduct for Special Forces members. After receiving Hawk's order, they immediately went to the SHIELD office in Washington, which is located near the Special Forces headquarters building. Lock on the target. Intelligence Officer Miss James said, he is on duty in the lobby of the office. It seems that this mission is simpler than we thought. Roadhog smiled. Don't let your guard down. Duke's face darkened, and he ordered, everyone, be alert. This is a mission, and it involves aliens. We have all participated in the New York War, and know how difficult aliens are. There was another sentence that he thought about but didn't say. This mission involves Anton. According to his understanding, in the past 2 years, anything that Anton was involved in was a major event that shocked the world. Such major events often lead to the Justice League in the end. Don't worry, we know what's going on. Roadblock said, I was just joking just now. That's fine. Duke nodded. Get ready for action. SHIELD Washington office. Tyler Hayward sat in a chair with an expressionless face, his eyes empty, but he was actually paying attention to the situation around him through the corner of his eyes. He received news that he might have been exposed. Nick Fury. Or thought flashed through his mind. You guy, even if you are forced to leave, you can't let people rest in peace. Da da da! Exclamation mark. Suddenly, fierce and hurried footsteps came from the door. Tyler Hayward's face changed slightly. He didn't have any luck and immediately identified the problem. Although there were not many people in the entire office, the footsteps were definitely not from the SHIELD agents in the office. There was only one possibility. The enemy is coming. Taylor took out a gun from under the table in front of him, stood up, and walked to the door without flinching. Boom! Exclamation mark. The muzzle burst out with fierce light waves. The Special Forces members had no power to resist this light wave, and were overturned in an instant. The amazing fire, mixed with stone chips, exploded in front of them. Damn it. Duke hurriedly commanded, we are exposed. He found us. Go. Then, looking at Roadhog and others, changed strategy, fight head on. Understood. Roadhog and others smiled grimly, carrying heavy weapons, and rushed to Taylor Hayward. The powerful firepower instantly suppressed Taylor Hayward. The latter shrank into the room with a solemn face. After hesitating for a moment, he pressed a button. Bang 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 bang. Behind him, bullets attacked densely, leaving him no room to dodge. The Special Forces members took this opportunity to surround him. Tyler Hayward, you have nowhere to hide. Roadhog laughed grimly. But what surprised him was that the expression on Taylor Hayward's face was not desperate at all, but rather a hint of sarcasm. HMM. Roadhog had an ominous premonition and said with a sullen face, your expression makes me feel very uncomfortable, so you will be unlucky soon. Unfortunately, you are the unlucky ones. Taylor sneered and looked at the members who followed behind Roadhog. Special Forces, after today, they will become history. Boom! Exclamation mark. As soon as the voice fell, a golden figure, as if traveling through time and space, suddenly flew from the end of the sky, with a long tail of light behind it. Immediately afterwards, the figure landed like a meteor, and smashed into the building. The Special Forces actions were recorded by cameras throughout the process. Hawk, the highest commander of the Special Forces in the Special Forces headquarters building, was watching the live broadcast at this time. At the same time, Hawk also broadcast this scene to Anton and others who were on the plane and were heading to Washington. Seeing the sudden change, everyone's face changed. Among them, the most shocked was neither Anton nor Hawk, but Monica Rambeau, who was beside Anton. Aunt Carol. She stared blankly at the woman, who fell from the sky on the screen, and was completely stunned. Chapter 313. Zenglian Support. Save the Special Forces. Carol. Anton saw this woman who came down from the sky and came out to disrupt the situation. She was shining with golden light. He thought she looked familiar. He was thinking about her identity. Suddenly, he heard Monica's surprised voice beside him. He opened his eyes wide and felt a little incredible. Captain Marvel. Carol Danvers? Exclamation mark. How is it possible? It seems that the appearance of this woman is obviously a companion summoned by Tyler Hayward. But if she is Captain Marvel, how can she stand on the side of Tyler Hayward? Skrulls. Could it be that Captain Marvel has betrayed? Anton thought for a moment, and many thoughts flashed through his mind. Finally, he recalled the original setting in the comics, and found a fact that was most likely to be the truth. Who is Carol? Tony frowned and looked at the woman in the picture, which was a little difficult to understand. He had never heard of this woman. However, judging from the image in the picture, this woman is obviously very strong, not just ordinary strong. Judging from the expressions of the two people around her, the identity of this woman must be extraordinary. Who is she? Tony asked Jarvis to perform facial recognition, but in the end, he only found a name and an occupation. As for other information, it was all blank. Carol Danvers, Ace Air Force pilot. He looked at the two people beside him. You two, don't you want to explain? He is an old friend of Nick Fury. Anton spoke, and when he said the word old friend, he slightly emphasized his tone, so that Tony could understand his implication. Oh. Tony understood immediately, and raised his eyebrows and said, Nick Fury's old lover. I didn't expect that. However, after this explanation, he suddenly understood why Jarvis could not find any specific information about this Carol Danvers. Her most eye-catching identity is certainly not Nick Fury's old friend, but a superhero. Anton said, you can call her Captain Marvel. If I'm not mistaken, this is her nickname. Captain Marvel. Tony muttered and fell into deep thought. At the same time, while Anton was talking to Tony, he summoned two DC heroes in the Justice League, Wonder Woman and Cyborg. As soon as the two appeared within 100 meters of him, they activated their teleportation bracelets. Swish. In the blink of an eye, the two disappeared and arrived in Washington, where the SHIELD office was located, ahead of Anton and others. Anton knew very well, if Captain Marvel was an enemy, the Special Forces members would not be able to stop Captain Marvel. It would be a dead end. There would be no chance of survival. At this critical moment, the Justice League must intervene. Although he did not care so much about the life and death of the Special Forces members, at least the other party's actions were helping the Men in Black solve the problem. If the Special Forces were to be completely destroyed, it would be embarrassing to face the Special Forces next time. Since it was within his ability, Anton would naturally find a way to save the Special Forces members. This would also gain more trust and support from the Special Forces. Tony was unaware of Anton's summons. Although the aircraft radar and Jarvis are powerful, Cyborg's intelligence is better than Jarvis's. Without Jarvis's intelligence support, Tony is basically blind. On the screen, the battle in Washington is still going on. Who are you? Roadhog's face was solemn. Looking at the woman in front of him, who was radiating light and wearing a tight combat suit, he always felt that he couldn't breathe well. A terrifying pressure made his muscles tense and his nerves highly hit. Captain Marvel. Carol looked at the Special Forces members in front of her. There was no human emotion in her shining eyes. Her hair was floating up with an inexplicable force. She had no intention of communicating. Without saying a word, she raised her hand slightly. Not good. Duke caught this action and had an ominous premonition. He immediately ordered, get out of the way. Get out of the way. The rest of you, fight back. Attack with all your strength. Whoosh. The others raised their guns and pulled the triggers. The bullets flew out of their chests like they were free. However, a transparent energy film automatically appeared around the woman in front of them, which not only surrounded their original target, Taylor Haywood, but also blocked the advance of bullets on all gun lines. Pop pop pop. Circles of ripples appeared on the energy film. Then, the bullets floated above the energy film. Under Carol's indifferent eyes, all the Special Forces members present were shocked and terrified. Boom. All bullets flew backwards. The Special Forces members had no power to resist and faced a life and death crisis. Washington, Special Forces Headquarters. It's over. The Supreme Commander, General Hawk, looked at the live footage sent back by the Special Forces on the screen, and his face changed drastically. How could he have thought that a simple training operation would actually encounter such a terrifying opponent? Who is that woman? Damn it. Anton. What kind of opponent have you provoked again? Hawk was anxious. If all the Special Forces action team sent out to carry out the mission this time died, then the Special Forces would suffer heavy losses in terms of personnel. On the one hand, these were his subordinates whom he knew well, and whom he could trust absolutely. On the other hand, as the Supreme Commander of the Special Forces, if all these people died, it would definitely be a major decision-making mistake for the Special Forces, and it would have a significant impact on him. Damn it. Hawk couldn't help but curse in a low voice, with an indescribable anxiety in his eyes. Whoosh 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 whoosh. The bullets fired by the Special Forces members flew back at them at an incredible speed. The air seemed to be filled with the smell of gunpowder. As the bullets flew back, there seemed to be invisible air ripples that rippled in all directions. Time seemed to slow down. All the members of the Special Forces just widened their eyes. Duke opened and closed his mouth. Run, quickly. The voice slowly reached the ears of other team members, but the bullets were getting closer and closer, as if they would hit his body in the next second, and then, he and others would fall in a pool of blood without any suspense. Boom. At the critical moment, the energy fluctuations around them rose rapidly, and the space fluctuated. Then, the light flashed. Two figures appeared in front of everyone. Wonder Woman. Cyborg. A man and a woman, two figures of quite different sizes, made all the Special Forces members ecstatic. Hawk, who was at the Special Forces headquarters, saw the image on the screen and couldn't help but let out a long sigh, and the big stone in his heart fell to the ground. He took back the damn he had cursed Anton before, thinking that Anton was still reliable. At least, the support came in time. Chapter 314, The Fake Captain Marvel. The Tough Super Skrull. After Wonder Woman and Cyborg appeared, the Special Forces members all breathed a sigh of relief. They felt that the pressure from the enemy had slightly decreased, but they were still nervous. You guys retreat. Cyborg waved his hand. Make room for the battlefield and let us go. Be careful. Duke nodded and commanded, retreat. Everyone retreat. The Washington office of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not located in the city, so there are not many passers-by around, and there is no need to worry about accidentally hurting the masses. After the Special Forces retreated, they always paid attention to the surrounding situation to avoid innocent casualties. They are experienced in post-war affairs. After the New York War, the World Security Council suppressed S.H.I.E.L.D. and launched Special Forces to replace S.H.I.E.L.D. Therefore, all the post-war affairs in New York were handled by Special Forces. Duke paid attention to the surrounding situation, while paying attention to the internal movements, that is, the confrontation between the two superheroes from the Justice League and the unknown enemy, Alien. Duke recalled the face of the woman just now, and always felt something was wrong. That woman should not be an alien, but a real human. Boom. While he was thinking, the battle broke out. Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers raised her hand and released a terrifying energy ray, which was like piercing through space, with almost no delay, and without giving Wonder Woman and Cyborg any reaction time in front of them, and fell heavily on them. Fortunately, the two were well prepared. When Wonder Woman arrived here, she activated the divine power in her body to create a divine shield. A layer of transparent divine shield formed the so-called energy film to block the attack of energy rays. Immediately afterwards, Cyborg beside her released a shell to fight back. Whoosh! The tail of the shell dragged the tail flame to kill Carol. At this time, both sides did not have any scruples in the process of fighting. The Special Forces members had evacuated the interior of the building, and the only one who should have scruples, Carol, who came to rescue Tyler Hayward, seemed to have lost the idea of protecting Tyler Hayward. The latter was so scared that his face turned pale, and he quickly hid behind an obstacle to prevent the aftermath of the fierce battle between the two sides from instantly killing him. This level of power. Cyborg looked expressionless, looking at Captain Marvel Carol in front of him, and became more and more certain of the original's guess. This is a fake. In the comics, the Skrulls created a Super Skrull cart. After the Fantastic Four stopped the Skrulls' attempt to invade the Earth, the Skrull Emperor chose the Skrull Soldier cart. Through artificial transformation, Cart combined the abilities of the four Fantastic Four, and had a higher level of power than the four, greater physical strength than the Stone Man, stronger flying skills and flame control than the Human Torch, more skilled invisibility and telekinesis than the Invisible Woman, more excellent ductility than Mr. Fantastic. At the same time, Cart still retained the unique deformation ability and hypnosis skills of the Skrulls. Most importantly, after completing this series of transformations, Cart was given a new name, Super Skrull. After that, Cart was sent to Earth to carry out the task of defeating the Fantastic Four to assist the Skrulls in invading the Earth again. The above are all plots extended from the comics. Combined with the current Marvel Cinematic Universe, the first human superhero to come into contact with the Skrulls became Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. Carol in the movie universe even defeated the Skrulls' enemies, the army sent by the Kree Empire, to save the Skrulls from danger. It is conceivable that the Skrulls who have seen Captain Marvel's power must covet Captain Marvel's power. Therefore, the Super Skrull, who was supposed to have mastered the power of the Fantastic Four, became the one who mastered Captain Marvel's power. If you think about it carefully, it is very reasonable. Facing Cyborg's shells, this fake Carol, the Super Skrull, was not panicked, and did not even dodge. With a violent swing of his hand, the light around him burst out. The dazzling energy light made Wonder Woman and Cyborg narrow their eyes slightly. There seemed to be an invisible flame rising quietly in the air, and a surge of power was released from her body. The houses around her began to tremble violently, as if an earthquake had come, making people unstable and swaying from side to side. The shells were blocked by an invisible barrier, and the central store, where the two sides were confronting each other, exploded. The Special Forces members were outside the house, looking at the shaking building, looking at each other, with two emotions intertwined on their faces, all shock and horror. It started again. Damn, how come there are more and more superpowers in this world? Maybe we should upgrade our equipment more. The Special Forces members gritted their teeth secretly. The next moment, the building in front of them was overwhelmed and collapsed under the impact of the unprecedented and terrifying energy fluctuations. The smoke and dust in the sky, accompanied by fierce shock waves, exploded in all directions. Will Tyler Hayward be crushed to death? We can only wish him good luck. While all the Special Forces members were talking, three figures rushed out of the dust, ignoring the falling rocks created by the collapse of the building, and rushed towards the sky above Washington. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Three rays of light spiraled up, and under the watchful eyes of all the Special Forces, they engaged in fierce exchanges of fire in the air. This scene also attracted the attention of many citizens in Washington. What is that? It's Cyborg and Wonder Woman. Who is fighting them? People looked at each other in confusion. Then, someone took out his mobile phone to take pictures, his face full of excitement, realizing that something big had happened again. Bang bang! Exclamation mark. In the cloudless blue sky, the terrifying shock wave mixed with fire, blooming like fireworks. Three figures kept colliding. Under the attention of the crowd, the unknown blonde woman fought 1 against 2, and did not lose the upper hand, showing super skills and abilities. People couldn't help but sweat. Although they didn't know the identity of the enemy, since the two members of the Justice League were fighting against each other, it was enough to prove that the other party was not a good person. People certainly didn't want the members of the Justice League to lose. At this time, the plane belonging to Tony Stark, where Anton and others were, was rushing towards Washington at the fastest speed. Looking at the fierce pictures from the cameras, worn by the Special Forces, their faces were slightly solemn. Especially Anton. He found that this Super Skrull pretending to be Captain Marvel was much more powerful than he had imagined. Just like the Super Skrulls in the original design, not only can they transform into other superpowers, but the superpowers they possess after transformation are even better than those of the person they are playing. So, this fake Captain Marvel in front of us may be more powerful than the real Carol Danvers? Anton frowned slightly. If this is true, it would be difficult to rely on Wonder Woman and Cyborg to subdue the other party. Chapter 315 The whole story. Plans are not as fast as changes. Over Washington, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, and the Super Skrull disguised as Captain Marvel Carol Danvers are still fighting. Thousands of eyes are staring at the picture in the sky, thinking of the battle in Washington between the Justice League and the Avengers several months ago. It is worth mentioning that the scale of this battle is definitely not as good as the battle in Washington, but it is also enough to be stunned. Because, compared with the battle in Washington, the difference between this battle and the battle in Washington is that the personal abilities of the three participants are visibly superior to other superheroes. Amazing speed, terrifying power, all aspects seem to be able to crush other heroes. Of course, Batman must not be counted. No matter what abilities Batman shows, people have subconsciously regarded Batman as a figure of another level. Boom. Boom. The explosions in the sky are deafening. When the three people fight, the shockwaves generated by the speed of action exceeding the speed of sound constantly turn into air ripples, sweeping across the city like ripples on the surface of a lake, stirring up hurricane-like airwaves. The people's screams of fear expose the nature of human beings who like to watch the excitement. They would do it even at the risk of danger. The media reporters were even more crazy, chasing the three people in the battlefield in the air to shoot. At this time, Wonder Woman, Cyborg and the Super Skrulls, who were in the fierce battle, were all focused and facing each other. They had no spare energy to pay attention to the thoughts of the citizens of Washington. The three pushed their abilities to the extreme. After the Super Skrull became Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, he gained the ability to control energy. He, or she, can control unprecedented amazing energy. This energy can be controlled by him, and even enable him to overcome the magnetic field of the planet, gain the ability to fly comparable to a spaceship, and travel alone in the universe. After obtaining this power, the Super Skrulls felt that they were invincible. But out of prudence, they did not expose it at the first time. It is safer to secretly invade the Earth, and control the Earth. During this process, Batman emerged, the Justice League assembled, and many powerful figures on Earth that the Skrulls had never heard of appeared one after another in various alien events. This made the Super Skrulls realize that the Earth was not as stable as they imagined. However, the secret invasion planned by the Super Skrulls has entered a critical stage. Even if the situation changes, it is impossible to give up the efforts of so many years. Therefore, they are more cautious. The Super Skrulls even had an idea. He not only wanted to make himself the last trump card of the Skrulls, but also planned to continuously create Super Skrulls like himself to enhance the combat power of the Skrulls. In his conception, all these superheroes that appeared one after another on Earth would appear in replicas and become the power of the Skrulls. Until the establishment of the Men in Black, Nick Fury planned to join the SWORD. The plan was not as fast as the change. Anton Jameson, the boss of the Men in Black organization and Batman's running dog, shook out all the information about the Skrulls and put it in front of the World Security Council. The Super Skrulls had no choice but to change their strategy and use spies who had been lurking for many years. Nick Fury and Mariah Rambeau, two of Carol Danvers' friends, are two of the Earthlings who know the Skrulls best and must be eliminated. Therefore, under the manipulation of the Super Skrulls, the World Security Council readily passed a resolution to sentence Nick Fury to crimes against humanity and sent special forces to encircle and eliminate Nick Fury and other remnants of the SWORD, as well as the Skrulls who supported Nick Fury. The Super Skrulls intend to use this opportunity to eliminate Nick Fury and his fellow countrymen on Earth, who are blocking their way forward. With the help of human power, they can help themselves eliminate their enemies and fellow countrymen who disagree with them. This is the normal state of the Skrulls, who have the ability to transform and have achieved initial results in invading the human world. Just like the organization that appeared not long ago, Hydra. Cut off one head and another will grow. For the Skrulls, Earthlings will never know how many Skrulls are lurking on Earth. Those in the know thought that Nick Fury had taken away most of the Skrulls. However, little did they know that compared with the Skrulls taken away by Nick Fury, the Skrulls who intended to invade the Earth were the biggest. Everything that happened next was just as everyone saw. After Nick Fury was wanted, he had no choice but to take the Skrulls away from the Earth and go to the universe to find the trace of the real Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. Mariah Rambeau took the initiative to stay and was arrested by the Special Forces. The matter was not resolved satisfactorily as the Super Skrulls thought, but there was also a transition period. However, the Super Skrulls did not expect that the transition period would be so short. Nick Fury left a secret hand on the Earth. Through these secret hands, he found out the truth of the whole thing and asked the Skrulls who obeyed his orders to disguise themselves as himself and warn the Men in Black. Anton naturally and blatantly reopened the case again. The Super Skrulls warned all his men that they must be sufficiently concealed and must not reveal their identities. However, if you want others to know, you must not do it yourself. Tyler Hayward was still exposed as a spy lurking in a secret agent organization for many years. Tyler Hayward controls a lot of key information. Moreover, Tyler Hayward used the channels of S.H.I.E.L.D. and SWORD to provide a lot of convenience for the Skrulls lurking in secret. He is a meritorious official and has many uses. He can't die like this. Therefore, the Super Skrull had to expose his strength and appeared in the appearance of Captain Marvel. He planned to save people as quickly as possible and kill the Special Forces members at the same time. Unexpectedly, he ran into Wonder Woman and Cyborg who arrived in time. Things were linked together, completely disrupting all his plans. Fortunately, he was confident that humans did not know that he had the ability to transform into a superhero and obtain his abilities. In other words, even if humans knew that he was a member of the Skrulls, they would regard him as Carol Danvers and would not know that he was actually a Skrull in disguise. In addition, Nick Fury left the Earth and went to the universe to find Carol Danvers, which made sense. At least it can shift some of the blame away, distract Anton and others, and give the Skrulls lurking in the dark room to move. However, the Super Skrull didn't know that his identity had been exposed from the beginning. No matter how hard the Super Skrull disguised himself, he couldn't stop someone from cheating. Chapter 316. Stop the Pursuit. Tony's doubts. The battle in the sky over Washington has entered a white-hot stage. Captain Marvel, disguised as a Super Skrull, is not at all inferior to Wonder Woman and Cyborg. The terrifying energy fluctuations rippling around are frightening. As the hurricane-like energy aftermath spreads, several high-rise buildings in Washington began to shake slightly, and the glass surfaces of the high-rise buildings shattered, and dense cracks appeared. People no longer dared to approach, and they really felt the threat to their lives. Fortunately, such a battle took place in the air. If it was really within the city, it would probably be another battle in Washington. Just like before, when the Justice League fought the Avengers, Washington Square became a ruin under the battle between Cyborg and Iron Man. The White House. The president stared at the picture sent back from the scene with a solemn face. The exposed combat power of both sides far exceeds that of the well-equipped army, and is definitely the highest personal force known to everyone on Earth. Have you found out the identity of that woman? The president pondered for a moment and said, if I remember correctly, this woman should be related to an alien incident in the last century. In the past 2 years, incidents related to aliens have occurred one after another. The president had to learn in depth about all the alien incidents known to the US government. He even knew them by heart. As soon as this woman appeared, she overlapped with a figure in his memory. Her identity has been confirmed. The Secretary of Defense, John Kohler, beside him said, Carol Danvers, once the head of the Pegasus project, Dr. Wendy Lawson's Test Flight Institute, and an ace female pilot of the Air Force. But she has been missing for almost 20 years. From the information we have previously obtained, she should not have been on Earth for almost 20 years. The president did not misjudge her identity. The other party was the woman who forced the other party to retreat during the alien invasion in the 1990s. This is exactly the same as the information in his memory. However, it is worth mentioning that the participant in this incident was SHIELD. And the hero in charge of this incident at the time was Nick Fury, who has now fled to the universe with the Skrulls. So, this matter may be related to Nick Fury. He frowned slightly and thought secretly. Nick Fury took the Skrulls on a spaceship to leave the Earth, and found Carol Danvers, who returned to Earth. This seems to make sense. As for why Carol Danvers fought Wonder Woman and Cyborg, further investigation is needed. Mr. President, I think someone will know more information. Keller looked at the picture on the screen and suddenly said, the one who fought with Carol Danvers was a member of the Justice League. We are guessing here. Why not ask Anton? I think Anton, as a member of the Justice League and the boss of the Men in Black, has more effective information than us. Okay. The president nodded. Contact Anton immediately and find out what is going on. Keller dialed a number in front of the president and then hung up the phone after a few simple exchanges. The president was curious. What did he say? He will be in Washington soon. Keller said he will come to the White House later to report to us. Okay. The president nodded. We are here. Tony's plane entered the Washington area. I'm leaving first. Tony said, looked at Anton, covered himself with armor, opened the door of the plane, and jumped. Whoosh. Tony transformed into Iron Man, and the flight jets on the armor burst out amazing airflows, rushing towards the city of Washington like lightning. Anton and Monica stayed on the plane. What should we do? Seeing this, Monica was a little at a loss. You wait here. Anton glanced at Monica and told Jarvis, Jarvis, please take me to the White House. Okay, Mr. Jameson. The plane changed direction. At the same time, Tony arrived at the battlefield above Washington at the fastest speed. The Super Skrull's face changed slightly. In front of him, Wonder Woman and Cyborg had no expression on their faces, and they obviously expected Tony's arrival. Humph. The Super Skrull snorted coldly without hesitation. There are too many enemies, and it is not easy to entangle. The current situation is that it is almost impossible for the other party to take him down. It was unlikely that he could defeat the other party by himself. Therefore, retreat was the best choice. A long-term entanglement might reveal some unnecessary information. Whoosh. He swept his cold eyes over the three people present and suddenly rushed to the higher sky. In the blink of an eye, the speed of the Super Skrull soared, like a rocket taking off, with bright lights under his feet, and the amazing energy shockwave was helping him to speed up. Want to run? Wonder Woman and Cyborg were chasing him closely. Tony's shoulder transformed into a Sidewinder tracking missile, locked onto Captain Marvel, the incarnation of the Super Skrull, and intercepted her moving figure at high altitude. Boom! Exclamation mark. A huge flame exploded at an altitude of more than 1,000 meters, forming a mushroom cloud that slowly spread. To Tony's surprise, the Sidewinder missile did not cause any injuries to this person, but only caused the other party's rapidly climbing figure to pause for a moment. The impact of this moment can be ignored. Damn it. After joining the battlefield, Tony felt the pressure brought by the other party. Where on earth did this woman come from? Question marks appeared in his mind, and he recalled what Anton had just explained. Nick Fury's old mistress? But why did she become an enemy? Is there really something wrong with Nick Fury? A series of questions emerged in Tony's mind, and Captain Marvel in front of him ran farther and farther. Wonder Woman, Cyborg and Tony, the three of them chased after her. They kept rushing out of the atmosphere, but saw that the other party actually went directly into the radiation-filled outer space and headed straight for the moon. Give up. Wonder Woman and Cyborg stopped chasing. You can't catch up with her. Even if you catch up with her, you can't stop her. Cyborg's voice sounded in Tony's communication channel. Forget it this time. Wait. Tony said, you have to give me an explanation. Go find Anton. Cyborg said, you know where he is. Anton. Tony thought for a moment and locked Anton's current location, the White House. As he was thinking, Wonder Woman and Cyborg in front of him did not intend to say more to him. They returned to Earth and disappeared quickly. Tony did not dwell on it. He was now anxious to solve his own doubts. Where did Nick Fury go? What was the situation of this newly appeared Carol Danvers? Since she was Nick Fury's old mistress, why did she become an enemy? Did he misunderstand the meaning of old friend? Chapter 316. Stop the pursuit. Tony's doubts. The battle in the sky over Washington has entered a white-hot stage. Captain Marvel, disguised as a Super Skrull, is not at all inferior to Wonder Woman and Cyborg. The terrifying energy fluctuations rippling around are frightening. As the hurricane-like energy aftermath spreads, several high-rise buildings in Washington began to shake slightly, and the glass surfaces of the high-rise buildings shattered, and dense cracks appeared. People no longer dared to approach, and they really felt a threat to their lives. Fortunately, such a battle took place in the air. If it was really within the city, it would probably be another battle in Washington. Just like before, when the Justice League fought the Avengers, Washington Square became a ruin under the battle between Cyborg and Iron Man. The White House. The president stared at the pictures sent back from the scene with a solemn face. The exposed combat power of both sides far exceeds that of the well-equipped army, and is definitely the highest personal force known to everyone on Earth. Have you found out the identity of that woman? The president pondered for a moment and said, if I remember correctly, this woman should be related to an alien incident in the last century. In the past 2 years, incidents related to aliens have occurred one after another. The president had to learn in depth about all the alien incidents known to the US government. He even knew them by heart. As soon as this woman appeared, she overlapped with a figure in his memory. Her identity has been confirmed. The Secretary of Defense, John Kohler, beside him said, Carol Danvers, once the head of the Pegasus project, Dr. Wendy Lawson's Test Flight Institute, and an ace female pilot of the Air Force. But she has been missing for almost 20 years. From the information we have previously obtained, she should not have been on Earth for almost 20 years. The president did not misjudge her identity. The other party was the woman who forced the other party to retreat during the alien invasion in the 1990s. This is exactly the same as the information in his memory. However, it is worth mentioning that the participant in this incident was SHIELD. And the hero in charge of this incident at the time was Nick Fury, who has now fled to the universe with the Skrulls. So, this matter may be related to Nick Fury. He frowned slightly and thought secretly. Nick Fury took the Skrulls on a spaceship to leave the Earth, and found Carol Danvers, who returned to Earth. This seems to make sense. As for why Carol Danvers fought Wonder Woman and Cyborg, further investigation is needed. Mr. President, I think someone will know more information. Keller looked at the picture on the screen and suddenly said, the one who fought with Carol Danvers was a member of the Justice League. We are guessing here. Why not ask Anton? I think Anton, as a member of the Justice League and the boss of the Men in Black, has more effective information than us. Okay. The president nodded. Contact Anton immediately and find out what is going on. Keller dialed a number in front of the president and then hung up the phone after a few simple exchanges. The president was curious. What did he say? He will be in Washington soon. Keller said, he will come to the White House later to report to us. Okay. The president nodded. We are here. Tony's plane entered the Washington area. I'm leaving first. Tony said, looked at Anton, covered himself with armor, opened the door of the plane, and jumped. Whoosh. Tony transformed into Iron Man, and the flight jets on the armor burst out amazing airflows, rushing towards the city of Washington like lightning. Anton and Monica stayed on the plane. What should we do? Seeing this, Monica was a little at a loss. You wait here. Anton glanced at Monica and told Jarvis, Jarvis, please take me to the White House. Okay, Mr. Jameson. The plane changed direction. At the same time, Tony arrived at the battlefield above Washington at the fastest speed. The Super Skrull's face changed slightly. In front of him, Wonder Woman and Cyborg had no expression on their faces, and they obviously expected Tony's arrival. Humph. The Super Skrull snorted coldly without hesitation. There are too many enemies, and it is not easy to entangle. The current situation is that it is almost impossible for the other party to take him down. It was unlikely that he could defeat the other party by himself. Therefore, retreat was the best choice. A long-term entanglement might reveal some unnecessary information. Whoosh. He swept his cold eyes over the three people present and suddenly rushed to the higher sky. In the blink of an eye, the speed of the Super Skrull soared, like a rocket taking off, with bright lights under his feet, and the amazing energy shockwave was helping him to speed up. Want to run? Wonder Woman and Cyborg were chasing him closely. Tony's shoulder transformed into a Sidewinder tracking missile, locked onto Captain Marvel, the incarnation of the Super Skrull, and intercepted her moving figure at high altitude. Boom! Exclamation mark. A huge flame exploded at an altitude of more than 1,000 meters, forming a mushroom cloud that slowly spread. To Tony's surprise, the Sidewinder missile did not cause any injuries to this person, but only caused the other party's rapidly climbing figure to pause for a moment. The impact of this moment can be ignored. Damn it. After joining the battlefield, Tony felt the pressure brought by the other party. Where on earth did this woman come from? Question marks appeared in his mind, and he recalled what Anton had just explained. Nick Fury's old mistress? But why did she become an enemy? Is there really something wrong with Nick Fury? A series of questions emerged in Tony's mind, and Captain Marvel in front of him ran farther and farther. Wonder Woman, Cyborg and Tony, the three of them chased after her. They kept rushing out of the atmosphere, but saw that the other party actually went directly into the radiation-filled outer space and headed straight for the moon. Give up. Wonder Woman and Cyborg stopped chasing. You can't catch up with her. Even if you catch up with her, you can't stop her. Cyborg's voice sounded in Tony's communication channel. Forget it this time. Wait. Tony said, you have to give me an explanation. Go find Anton. Cyborg said, you know where he is. Anton. Tony thought for a moment and locked Anton's current location, the White House. As he was thinking, Wonder Woman and Cyborg in front of him did not intend to say more to him. They returned to Earth and disappeared quickly. Tony did not dwell on it. He was now anxious to solve his own doubts. Where did Nick Fury go? What was the situation of this newly appeared Carol Danvers? Since she was Nick Fury's old mistress, why did she become an enemy? Did he misunderstand the meaning of old friend? Chapter 317 Reasonable Imagination. Superman is not on Earth. Jarvis controlled the plane and drove it to the lawn outside the White House and stopped. Anton and Monica got off the plane and saw a group of burly, fully armed guards who surrounded the entire plane and pointed their guns at them. At the same time, an old friend came towards them with a smile on his face. Anton, Secretary of Defense, John Kohler, greeted him first, then waved his hand to the side. Put down the gun. This is one of us. By the way, who is this? As he spoke, Kohler looked at Monica. She is the director of SWOR, Mariah Rambeau's daughter. I will explain the details to you later. Anton walked straight to Kohler. Let's go. Take me to see the president. As the two talked, whoosh, in the sky, another figure swooped down at a high speed. The huge sonic boom startled the guards, who looked up at the red figure with a very nervous expression. It's Tony. When Anton saw the person coming, the scene of Cyborg and others leaving appeared in his mind. He shrugged. It seems that the battle is over. Over? Keller was delighted and asked, did you capture the enemy? No. Anton shook his head. Obviously, she escaped. Yes, she escaped. Tony, transformed into Iron Man, landed next to Anton and Keller, and then lifted the transformation state, revealing his true body in a suit. He looked at Anton with an expression of unsuppressible confusion on his face, and asked, what's the situation with that woman? Her name is Carol Danvers, an ace pilot. She is related to an alien incident in the last century. At the same time, she is related to the Pegasus project that triggered the New York War. Anton gave a brief introduction. As for the specific situation of Danvers, you might as well ask Monica. Carol Danvers and Mariah Rambeau are good friends. At the same time, Monica should have a deep memory of her, right? At the end of the words, he looked at the black woman next to him and shrugged. You are half a party to that incident in the last century. Yes. Monica's face was complicated. She was a little surprised when she looked at Anton in front of her. She felt that she had no secrets around Anton. He seemed to know everything. Aunt Carol is a good friend of my mother. After a pause, she added, I don't believe Aunt Carol will become like that. Let's go. Kohler shrugged. Let's go in first. Soon, the group came to the president's office. The idle people retreated. In front of the president and the Secretary of Defense John Kohler, as well as Tony and Monica, Anton began to report the situation. This matter is related to the Skrulls. As soon as he opened his mouth, he said in a decisive tone, the Carol Danvers who appeared just now is not the real Carol. Do you understand what I mean? You mean, the Carol Danvers just now is fake, disguised by the Skrulls? Cola's mind turned quickly, showing an extremely surprised expression. Impossible. Monica questioned. Although the Skrulls have the ability to transform and can completely disguise themselves as another person, they cannot possess the superpowers of the other person after they become the other person. What you said is not reasonable. So, do you think that the woman who fought fiercely with the two superheroes of the Justice League in the sky above Washington is the real Carol Danvers, your Aunt Carol? Anton asked back. This. Monica's face froze, and she couldn't speak. Let me ask you again. Anton asked again. You just said that the Skrulls can completely disguise themselves as another person, but they cannot possess the superpowers of the other person. Who told you this? Are they the Skrulls you know? Why do you think that what they said is true? Monica was completely speechless. Everyone here knows about the invasion of the Kree in the last century. Anton spoke without even looking at Tony. Tony was confused. What do you mean by knowing everything? I don't know. What the hell are the Kree? In the last century, the alien invasion was not caused by Transformers. When did the Kree come again? Before he could ask, Anton continued. Nick Fury was a participant in that incident and became a hero of SHIELD because of it. It was also his most glorious achievement. From now on, there is no other, and there will never be another one. At the same time, that incident was also Nick Fury's biggest black spot. He took in the aliens who were left behind on Earth in that incident and gave them a living space. They were the Skrulls. More than a decade has passed. Under the protection of Nick Fury and perhaps other people, such as Mariah Rambeau of SWORD, the Skrulls have been lurking on Earth and gradually growing stronger. I think, at present, this group of Skrulls who came to Earth have split into two major factions. One faction is Nick Fury's supporters. They all followed Nick Fury on a spaceship and left the Earth not long ago. Only a very small number of them stayed behind as Nick Fury's spies. The other faction is the invaders we just saw, who attempted to secretly invade the Earth. Anton's explanation made everyone understand the whole story. Tony's mind worked quickly, and he finally understood and figured out the origin of the Skrulls. You haven't explained why the Skrulls can turn into Aunt Carol and have Aunt Carol's superpowers. Monica reminded. It's very simple. Anton said. They evolved. Everyone looked at each other. Some of them have strengthened their research on their own abilities and turned themselves into a special Skrull. Perhaps we can call him a Super Skrull. Anton said. In short, he can turn into another Carol Danvers and have the other's abilities. This is an indisputable fact. We all saw it. But why are you so sure? Tony was curious. Because I know the real Carol Danvers is not on Earth. Anton thought for a while and said, it is impossible for Carol Danvers to cross several galaxies and return to Earth in a short period of time. Therefore, the Carol Danvers we see now must be a fake. You know she is not on Earth. Tony narrowed his eyes and heard the implication of Anton. Tony was certain of one thing from Anton's long-term style of doing things and the fact that he seemed to know a lot about the universe. You have your own information channel in the universe. No, it's not you. It should be Batman. It's Superman. Tony stared at Anton with some horror in his words. By the way, it seems that there is another Superman in the Justice League who has never appeared. Keller thought of the recent news. Constantine, who had just appeared in Los Angeles, and another world related to magic that was verified to be isolated from the normal world they were in, and instantly agreed with Tony's statement. The reason why Superman has never appeared is because he is not on Earth. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 318. No one is more reasonable than Batman. Superman is not on Earth. Anton heard this. His face remained calm. He looked around inconspicuously and found that everyone had strange expressions and slightly shocked eyes, and shrugged. Superman is indeed no longer on Earth. After saying this, he added in his heart, he is not in this universe at present. The Skrulls are not to be feared. No matter how powerful they are, They are just chickens and dogs in front of Superman, and they are vulnerable. Then, Anton was quite confident and continued, as long as Superman returns, the Justice League can wipe out all enemies on Earth that threaten mankind. If I'm not mistaken, Superman is an alien. Tony no longer has any idea whether Superman exists in this world. In the past 2 years, the major heroes of the Justice League have appeared one after another. Now no matter what superhero appears, he doesn't find it strange. Why should we believe in an alien? Don't you think it's ridiculous to expect an alien to save the Earth? He questioned Anton. Asgard is outside the Earth, and Thor is also an alien. Why should we establish a strategic alliance with them? Anton asked back. Besides that, can you guarantee that you can deal with the Super Skrulls? Also, although Superman is an alien, he is different from Thor in that he grew up on Earth, and before he was 18, he always considered himself an Earthling. After gaining the ability, even if he was confused, he never exposed his identity or did anything that endangered humanity or destroyed the Earth. Superman is trustworthy. So, like Batman, he is the biggest trump card of the Justice League. As he spoke, Anton looked at the president in front of him and said, "Mr. President, I'm now the boss of the Men in Black and a formal member of the Justice League. My business is the business of the Justice League. I can guarantee you 100% that the Skrulls do not pose an absolute threat to the Earth. Do not pose an absolute threat." Keller heard the implication. You mean, before Superman returns, we can't impose any restrictions on the actions of the Skrulls? They have a transformation ability that is difficult for us to recognize, and it is difficult for us to recognize their identities. Anton shrugged and said helplessly, "I suspect that there are spies planted by them in the White House, but we can't find them, and no test can identify their existence. The only way is to wait." Wait. The president frowned. How long do we have to wait? 1 month, maybe 2 months. Anton gave a less than exact time and said, "I promise that during this period, the Justice League will come up with qualified technology to identify the Skrulls disguised as humans on Earth. At that time, they will have nowhere to hide, and we will be the final winners. And during this period, we can only remain vigilant." The president and John Kohler looked at each other and remained silent for a long time. Wait. Tony was like a nitpicker and said, "If it is true as you said, the Skrulls begin to evolve, and Super Skrulls appear, then will we face multiple Super Skrulls? Will they continue to copy these superpowered people on Earth and form a superpowered army composed of Super Skrulls? This possibility cannot be ruled out." Anton did not deny it. In fact, he thought so. Otherwise, he would not have brought Superman out to speak. Captain Marvel is powerful, but even if the entire Justice League is assembled, 2 fists cannot beat 4 hands. What's more, the superheroes of the entire Justice League have far more than 4 hands. Facing the superheroes of the entire Justice League, Captain Marvel will have to give up. Only the Super Skrull army formed by superpowered people is worthy of Anton's fear. Although there is only one Super Skrull in the comic story, that is, the Soldier Cart, in this changed world, since the Super Skrull has appeared, why can there only be one? Unless the Super Skrull is fabricated by some uncertain power. However, this is not the case. According to Anton, the Super Skrull is an evolution of the Skrull, just like Captain America drank the Super Soldier Serum, surpassed the limit of human beings, and became a superpowered person who can fight anyone on equal terms. The creation of Super Skrulls is a technology. Strictly speaking, this technology is definitely not only applicable to Skrull soldiers. Cart. Then isn't our safety guaranteed now? The president frowned and hesitated a little. Anton's description of the whole thing gave him a great sense of crisis. From what I know, there is no problem with Colonel Rhodes of the military. I think you can transfer Colonel Rhodes and let him protect you for a while. Anton suggested, and then said, in short, as long as the Justice League has results in its research on cracking the Skrulls' ability to transform, we can strike the Skrulls lurking in the human world at the first time. At this point, there is only this way. The president nodded. He decisively agreed with Anton's suggestion. In other words, even if he disagreed, he couldn't influence Anton's thoughts. Although the Justice League has a close relationship with the military, it is a private group after all. In essence, it is not responsible for anything. Only the Men in Black organization where Anton belongs is responsible for fighting against aliens. That's it. I'll go back and prepare for Superman's return and the technical research on the Skrulls," Anton said, looking at Tony beside him. "What?" Tony was stunned, feeling cheated. "You don't want me to get involved, do you?" Anton smiled. "Just now you insisted on following us to Washington. You don't want to withdraw now, do you? Are you afraid?" "What a joke. Why would I be afraid?" Tony was speechless for a moment and said unhappily, "I can participate in the experiment, but I need absolute right to speak. I won't let you manipulate me. In the Justice League, we pursue democracy." Anton shrugged. "We will listen to whoever makes more sense. Don't you all listen to Batman?" Tony was stunned. He was a little curious and couldn't help asking. The Illuminati, which he had just planned and established not long ago, seemed to be able to refer to the internal operating mechanism of the Justice League to make it more perfect on the original basis. "Of course not," Anton said, "but what you said is not completely wrong. Generally speaking, in the Justice League, no one is more reasonable than Batman." Chapter 319, New Member of the Men in Black. Next stop is Hollywood. After the conversation at the White House, Anton and others took the plane they came on and left Washington. After they left, the President and Secretary of Defense John Keller immediately discussed the follow-up situation of the Skrulls. This incident exposed the hidden dangers of the Earth. They did not doubt Anton's intelligence at all. The facts are already in front of them, and no matter how much they want to deny this fact, they can't do it. Then, they can only face it bravely. Of course, the Skrulls are something that the entire Earth has to face. They plan to hold a meeting of the World Security Council without hesitation and inform Anton of the situation reported in full so that the top leaders of various countries will treat it with caution. At this time, we must not let the Skrulls with the ability to transform take advantage of the loophole. On the other side, on the return plane, Tony was also asking about the details of the Skrulls. Although he had obtained some information from Anton's long speech before, there were still some details that needed Anton to connect. After a while, Tony finally figured out the whole story. He did not change his opinion of Nick Fury. He had known for a long time that Nick Fury was a daring person, so he was not surprised at all, but took it for granted. "What are you going to do with me?" Monica suddenly asked. "You?" Anton pondered for a moment. "It is definitely impossible to let you act freely. You are half a party involved. This matter is very important and must be kept strictly confidential. So, do you want to join the Men in Black?" "What?" Monica was stunned and looked at Anton in surprise. She didn't expect the latter to make such an invitation. "Join the Men in Black? Aren't you afraid that I'm a spy for the Skrulls?" Monica couldn't help asking. "So, are you?" Anton asked back, then smiled and said, "I'm very sure that Nick Fury and Mariah Rambeau are both genuine humans, and as Carol Danvers Jr., the Skrulls will not rashly attack you and disguise themselves as you to deceive others. In addition, Nick Fury and Mariah Rambeau must have taken precautions against this. So, many people in this world are worthy of suspicion, but on the other hand, there are many people who don't need to be suspected at all." "I agree with you." Monica nodded without hesitation. "Also, I'm very happy to join the Men in Black. Don't be too happy yet. When we get to New York, I'll have someone take you to the Men in Black headquarters for training. By then, I won't interfere with what department you will be assigned to. Everything depends on your own ability," Anton said calmly, pouring a basin of cold water on her. "Monica, you have to understand that your mother Mariah Rambeau can't protect herself. After this incident is over, even if it is proved that she has nothing to do with the Skrulls, no one will trust her, let alone let her go free. I will work hard for it." Monica had already accepted this result. After she finished speaking, she seemed to think of something and fell silent. The plane returned to New York, to the Stark Industries building. The members of the Men in Black took Monica back to the headquarters. Tony turned his head and looked at Anton. "So, where should we go now?" "The sewer laboratory," Anton said. "Let's go. I'll take you to visit the research base of the Justice League." Soon, the two entered the sewer. Tony frowned at first, expressing his helplessness at the environment of the sewer, and then came to a space that surprised him. This is clearly a sewer, but he could smell a fragrance. Those are the flowers planted by Master Splinter. They can purify the air. Anton saw Tony's gaze and smiled. You should know who Splinter is, right? A huge rat. Not really huge, at most the size of a 7 or 8-year-old child. Compared to a normal rat, this is dozens of times bigger. Tony's eyes were fixed on Splinter, who was arranging flowers, and his mouth twitched. He felt that he had to reorganize the information about the many members of the Justice League. At present, it seems that there are bats, turtles, rats, lizards, spiders in the Justice League. In addition to Batman, the founder of the Justice League. From the works released by Anton's DC company, these animals are new members, not old members such as Wonder Woman, Cyborg and Green Arrow. New members, superheroes with animal code names, account for a very high proportion. So, does Batman have a special preference for superheroes with animal code names, because he has an animal code name? Tony was ignoring his random thoughts and suddenly saw a few familiar faces. Not very familiar. But in comparison, they are also familiar faces. Curtis Connors, Bruce Banner, and Reed Richards, who has been praised for a long time as having an intelligence level not lower than his. These three will be your colleagues for a while. I hope you can communicate in a friendly manner. Anton shrugged and shouted the slogan, everything for humanity. After that, he said goodbye and left. You're leaving now? Tony was a little confused. Of course, otherwise, do you think I can help you by staying here? Anton turned his head strangely and looked at Tony and said bluntly, I have a lot of things to do. Superman is still waiting for me to contact him in the universe. Superman. Tony thought of this man who was highly expected by Anton, or the Justice League, and he was a little skeptical for a while. He had seen Man of Steel, and he watched the premiere, and was one of the first audiences in the world to know Superman. For this man who is hailed as the god on earth, Tony couldn't understand it. Judging from Anton's performance, his expectations for Superman seemed to exceed Batman. Judging from the Easter eggs in some movies, the relationship between Superman and Batman does not seem to be very friendly. Could it be that Superman did not leave the Earth on his own initiative, but was forced to leave by Batman? Tony was thinking wildly, but Anton did not intend to continue talking nonsense to Tony. Since he planned to let Superman show up and solve this crisis in a few minutes, he must not be idle in the following time. Let Superman show up as soon as possible. Become his only goal now. For this reason, the filming plan of Shazam has to be postponed. Where are you going? Tony saw Anton leave without looking back and couldn't suppress his curiosity. Los Angeles. Anton waved his hand. Stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and work. Your work is related to the future of the Earth and mankind. As soon as the voice fell, he disappeared in the sewer laboratory. Just half an hour later, Anton got on the plane again and went to Los Angeles and Hollywood. Next, he will fully push forward the filming of the movie Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, try to shorten the 1-month time given by Jim before, and arrange for the distribution company to release it immediately, so as to reap the benefits as quickly as possible, and become the nutrients for Anton to exchange for Superman. Chapter 320 Skrull Action. Target the Little Turtle. Suburban New York. The secret base of the Skrulls. After escaping from the joint pursuit of Wonder Woman, Cyborg, and Iron Man, the Super Skrull, Carter, gathered a group from outside the Earth, and returned to Earth. The person in front of him was Tyler Hayward. Yes, in the fierce battle in Washington, Tyler Hayward successfully escaped, and was not arrested. He now does not appear in human form, but reveals his Skrull body. We are exposed. Tyler looked at Carter in front of him with a bit of fear, and said, Mr. Carter, what should we do next? Don't worry. Carter said lightly, although we are exposed, humans cannot crack our transformation ability in a short period of time, and lack the means to identify our true form, so we are still safe now. Although what the other party said was right, the worry on Tyler Hayward's face did not decrease at all. Are you afraid? Carter saw Tyler Hayward's doubts. Yes. Tyler Hayward nodded. I'm afraid that our ability to transform will be cracked by humans, and I'm afraid that our innate talent will eventually destroy us. He is Carter's confidant, so he can naturally speak a few words from the heart. Moreover, his words are not disrespectful to the other party, but are for the consideration of the entire Skrull race. Even if the ability to transform is cracked, it's no big deal. Calter said lightly, the Skrulls now are no longer the cosmic refugee race that faced the invasion of the Kree and had no power to fight back. Super Skrull plan. Tyler Hayward seemed to understand something, understood the source of Calter's self-confidence, and was refreshed. We succeeded? The reason why Calter became the boss of the Skrulls today is because he is a Super Skrull. Super Skrull, to put it bluntly, is a kind of directional transformation ability. Calter imitated Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, and not only can he become Carol Danvers, but also have abilities that are better than her. In the entire universe, there is only one Skrull who has this directional transformation ability, and that is Kart. But if more such Super Skrulls appear in the Skrull tribe, the Skrulls will become extremely powerful. In the entire universe, no one can compare to the Skrulls. If I can't beat you, I will become you. And a stronger you. At that time, the Skrulls will suppress the Earth with the force of thunder, rush into the universe, and even take revenge on the Kree. It is not impossible. Soon, you will see new Super Skrulls. The Justice League, the Avengers, and all the strong men in the human race will be copied by us. Kart said, we will successfully occupy the Earth. In our hands, humans can only survive. That is to say, we need time. Tyler Hayward pondered for a moment, his eyes burning. It is still necessary to prevent humans from researching to crack the Skrull's transformation ability. At present, it seems that we can't be exposed now. You want to stop them? Kart narrowed his eyes and understood Tyler Hayward's thoughts. Okay then. He thought for a moment and said, go ahead. I'll give you the highest authority to mobilize the Skrulls lurking around the world. If you want to do it, you must go all out. Don't worry. Taylor Hayward nodded vigorously. I won't let you down again. Have you thought it through? Carter reminded, if you fail, I won't clean up your mess again. The Super Skrull project still requires my participation. I won't show up again for a while. Even if it fails, it's a necessary sacrifice. Taylor Hayward made up his mind. Carter looked at the other's determined face and sighed. Good luck to you. Los Angeles. Anton took over the follow-up filming of the movie Dawn of Justice and invested another sum of money to speed up the filming progress and strive to complete it within half a month. At this time, the president in the White House and John Keller, who was in Washington and initiating the World Security Council meeting, continued to pay attention to Anton's movements. Seeing Anton go to Hollywood to make a movie, they were stunned. What are you doing? On the third day after Anton joined the crew, John Kohler couldn't help but called during the filming and questioned, in this emergency, why are you going to make a movie? This is a necessary ritual. Anton said, to welcome the return of Superman, and to let everyone be mentally prepared for the appearance of Superman. After all, Superman is an alien, and the world is not so friendly to aliens now. This is not a reason. Kohler said, we hope that you can do some effective work. You know, everyone has high hopes for you. This is effective work. Anton explained. Batman will naturally do the more specific things, such as communicating with Superman. What about research? Kohler asked again. Technical research on cracking the Skrull's ability to transform? You can't expect me to complete the research, right? Anton said. Several of the world's top scientists are studying day and night. All I can do is provide materials and funds. Of course, the Men in Black's investigation of the Skrulls has never ended. Pause. I know what you are thinking. Don't worry, everything is under our control. I hope the result is the same as you said. Keller hung up the phone with dissatisfaction. Beep. Anton listened to the busy tone on the other end of the phone and shrugged, not taking Keller's reminder seriously. Although Keller was dissatisfied with his current job, he had no room to interfere with him. Anton's official identity is the boss of the Men in Black organization. The Men in Black are under the command of the World Security Council and have nothing to do with the US military. The US government may still be able to manage it, but at most they can say a few words. Anton has many excuses to shirk responsibility. Keller obviously understands this, so his emotions can only stay at the stage of dissatisfaction and he can't do anything. The only special forces he can command are useless in this crisis caused by aliens. The real useful ones still depend on the Justice League. New York. Tyler Hayward disguised himself as a member of the New York Police Department and walked into the New York Police Department with his subordinates, the Skrulls, who were also in disguise. After investigation, they basically determined that Tony Stark had joined the Justice League's research team. In the process, they also discovered something unexpectedly. Therefore, Tyler Hayward and others shifted their original target from Tony Stark to the 4 little turtles within the New York Police Department Task Force. Chapter 321, The Skrull Who Sent Himself into the Enemy Camp. When Tyler Hayward and others used their own transformation ability to disguise themselves as Stark Industries staff, and then joined forces with the Skrull spies previously sent to Stark Industries to get close to Tony Stark, they found that Tony had been very close to the Ninja Turtles during this period. As we all know, the Ninja Turtles are not only members of the New York Police Department's task force, but also formal members of the Justice League. Combined with the fact that Tony Stark has probably joined the research project within the Justice League, Tyler Hayward judged that the Ninja Turtles were also related to this project. Following the clues, they got extremely useful clues. The laboratory that is studying to crack the Skrull's transformation ability is in the sewer area, which is also the residence of the Ninja Turtles. This makes sense. As superheroes, the Ninja Turtles must live in a safer place than ordinary places. The laboratory is set up here, which is also more reassuring. Tyler Hayward finally made a decision through this part of information. He wants to take these elite Skrull soldiers around him, disguised as Ninja Turtles, sneak into the sewer laboratory, and destroy the experiment. Their ability to transform allows them to disguise themselves as any intelligent creature in the universe. But at present, the only drawback is that, even if they disguise themselves as Ninja Turtles, they cannot obtain their abilities. The transformed turtle shell is just a showpiece. A group of people arrived at the New York Police Department, disguised as new members of the task force, and came to the Ninja Turtles. At this time, the task force building next to the New York Police Department. Mickey, stop playing games. Donatello threw a baseball and hit Michelangelo on the head. It's our turn to patrol today. Michelangelo put away the game console and complained, I'm almost through the level. Listen to Donnie, come on, go on patrol with me. Raphael waved the steel fork in his hand and came to Michelangelo aggressively. The boss in front of the 3 turtles, Leonardo, leisurely wiped the samurai sword in his hand with a rag. The life of the 4 little turtles is quite peaceful, since they walked out of the sewer, showed their faces openly, and became members of the New York Police Department's task force. Their lives have undergone earth-shaking changes. All this is thanks to Batman, and of course, the decisiveness of the current New York Police Department Commissioner, George Stacy. Knock, knock. Suddenly, a knock on the door attracted their attention. Hi, hello. There were several people standing at the door. The leading man showed excitement, holding a notebook, and said excitedly, I'm a new police officer. I'm your fan. After speaking, he seemed to remember something, and looked behind him. We are all your fans. Oh. The 4 turtles were used to it, and looked at each other. Then Michelangelo stood up, and said with a smile, signature, right? No problem, give me the pen. Line up, one by one. After a moment, several knockers left the room, where the Ninja Turtles were. There's something wrong with them. Donatello suddenly said, the intelligence system in my computer shows that they shouldn't be here. What do you mean? Michelangelo was stunned. What do you mean they shouldn't be here? In short, the surveillance video just captured that the person who first asked you for an autograph appeared outside George Stacy's office. Donatello said, in other words, they may be disguised as Skrulls. Anton and Tony reminded us. Leonardo stood up and said lightly, notify our friends in the laboratory and let them be vigilant. Wait, are we just going to watch these Skrulls invade the laboratory? Raphael's mind was a little confused. Do you think they could invade the laboratory? Donatello looked at Raphael in front of him with a look of stupidity and asked, can you beat those scientists? Raphael was speechless for a moment. He really couldn't beat them. Now, the people in the sewer laboratory are all real physicists. I guess no one can beat others in physics. Don't worry. Donatello looked relaxed. No one is happier than them when the living material comes to them. Success. Tyler Hayward was very calm. He didn't know that he had been exposed to the Ninja Turtles. "Let's take action," Tyler Hayward said, and transformed into the blue smoke-covered turtle among the Ninja Turtles. That is, the boss, Leonardo. The remaining few people, 3 of whom turned into Michelangelo, Raphael and Donatello. In addition to the 4 Transformers, Tyler Hayward ordered the remaining Skrull soldiers, "You stay alert and meet us." Understood. After giving the order, Tyler Hayward found the sewer inside the New York Police Department, lifted the manhole cover, and crawled in. The sewer area under the New York Police Department was specially cleaned by the police after the Ninja Turtles joined the police department, and a special passage was reserved for the Turtles to go home after get off work. This road is not difficult to find. Tyler Hayward and others disguised as Ninja Turtles walked quickly all the way to the sewer ninja dojo. Splinter glanced at the 4 disguised people, expressionless. "They are in the laboratory next door." He swung his tail in the air burst, making a shocking sound of breaking through the air, and then said lightly, "You little bastards, don't bother me." "Yes. Understood." The 4 knew this rat. This rat also appeared in the New York battle. At the same time, the identity of this rat is known to all fans who follow the Ninja Turtles. "Splinter, the guy who raised the turtles. We'll go there now." The 4 looked in the direction Splinter pointed, walking briskly, not noticing that Splinter behind them was staring at them and sneered. After entering the laboratory, the 4 saw the laboratory team sitting in the chairs, waiting for them for a while. Tony Stark, Curtis Connors, Bruce Banner, Reed Richards. The 4 people in the laboratory team stared at the 4 people disguised as little turtles with smiles on their faces. "Anton is right." Tony laughed. "They really came to us on their own initiative. I'm worried that we can only study corpses, lack living bodies, and lack the most intuitive manifestations." Connors clenched his fists, his body turned green, and fine scales appeared on his cheeks. Banner was calm. "I'll leave them to you," he said lightly. "If I transform into the Hulk, the laboratory will be destroyed. Then I'll just watch the show." "Mr. Fantastic," Reed shrugged. "In fact, I'm not good at fighting." Seeing this, Tyler Hayward and the other 4 felt bad. They fell into a trap. Chapter 322. The film is finished. Warming up for Superman Returns. Los Angeles. During the filming, Anton received a report from the experimental team in New York. Connors and others successfully captured the invading Skrulls. Even the few who were watching outside the New York Police Department were no exception, and were successfully captured by the Turtles. "All captured? Well done." Anton heard the voice on the other end of the phone and smiled. "I said, we don't need any extra actions. They will come to us on their own." The research on cracking the Skrulls' ability to transform is very important. Normally, even if the Skrulls intend to unify the Earth by force, they will not give up their greatest innate advantage. Therefore, it is imperative for the Skrulls to destroy this research. Anton only needs to set up an ambush and wait for the enemy to come to the door. He doesn't even need an ambush. The few people who study this technology are already the top combat power in this world. Iron Man, Dr. Lizard, the Hulk, Mr. Fantastic. Once these people let go, no one can stop them. Even if the Super Skrull lurking in the dark becomes Captain Marvel, they can fight against him and not lose. It's hard to say who will win in the end, but at least they won't suffer any loss. Now that we have the living material, the research must produce results as soon as possible. Anton thought for a moment and said, "I know this is not the first time I've urged you, but you all know how serious the situation is now. I think the Skrulls have begun to create new Super Skrulls. Once the Skrulls create a Super Skrull army, the superpowered people on Earth will be copied crazily by them." After a brief exchange, Anton hung up the phone. Then, he thought about it and told the man in black about this information. Through the man in black, the World Security Council, the US government, the president in the White House, the Secretary of Defense, and John Keller, who called not long ago to question Anton's inaction, all learned of this good news. John Keller breathed a sigh of relief. After getting this information, he knew that Anton was not doing nothing, and the Justice League was indeed operating related information about the Skrulls. After thinking for a moment, he called Anton to apologize. "There's nothing to apologize for. I understand your anxiety. Anton held the phone and smiled. "But you have to have confidence in the Justice League. Everything is under our control." "Well, that's it." The call ended. Jim next to him came up immediately. "Anton, do you want to shoot the final shot of the movie?" "Sure." Anton agreed readily. He knew Jim's little thoughts very well. He would take charge of the last set of shots. When the movie is promoted, it can be claimed that the movie was shot by two directors. Some shots were shot by Anton, and the other shots were shot by the original director. This can greatly increase the popularity of the movie. With Anton's current fame, even if he only directed one shot, it can attract the attention of a large number of netizens. Jim has high hopes for this movie. Although he is sure that it will not lose money, no one will refuse to operate a work that he has run and achieve greater success. The same principle applies to Anton. Although Anton's purpose in making movies is not to make money, he will not foolishly refuse if he can make more money while achieving his goal. 2 hours later, the last set of shots was shot, and the movie was finished. It was originally planned to be released in about a month, but now it has been completed half a month in advance. If we speed up, it will be released soon. Jim said to Anton in an affirmative tone. With the help of the full projection technology of Quentin Beck, the mysterious man Anton recruited in advance, their current film shooting has omitted the most energy-consuming special effects production stage, and the post-production work has become particularly simple, and it can be completely completed in a short time. I will participate in the post-production work, and strive to release it next week. Anton answered decisively again. This time, Jim will no longer have any persuasion or doubt. Anton took a week to complete the post-production work of Hellblazer, which was far beyond Jim's expectations. For this Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, although the workload of the whole film has increased slightly, it seems that there is no need to doubt it, based on Anton's previous record. Then I will start to increase the publicity efforts now. Jim nodded. This movie has long been expected by countless fans, and the publicity work is very easy. No one will ignore the phrase Batman is in the cast and the promotional slogan. It cannot be said to be a dark horse, but the return of the king. Now, before the film has entered the official promotion stage, some of the material information has been reported crazily by the media in Los Angeles, the United States, and the world. Everyone wants to see Batman Returns in the cinema. Moreover, this film also reveals a huge information explosion point. A superhero from outer space. Superman. Information about Superman has been known to countless people in many works launched by DC. Combined with the actual situation, the world has been invaded by aliens many times in the past 2 years, and people have a sense of substitution. They are eager to see Batman in the cinema, just like in the real world, turning the tide. So, after the wrap-up banquet in the evening, the next day, Anton fell into a busy working state again, following a group of staff to handle the post-production work of the film. At the same time, the news that the film was wrapped and released next week spread all over the world in an instant. Although they have not seen the finished film yet, movie fans all over the world are looking forward to this movie. At the same time, the World Security Council, the US government, and even SHIELD and other organizations have also received this news. Superman? Coulson and Hill in Europe pondered for a moment, thinking of Nick Fury, who left the Earth with the Skrulls. They had previously speculated that Superman was not on Earth, just like Captain Marvel and Carol Danvers, who was traveling in the universe and doing justice. However, the intelligence sent back from Washington not long ago surprised them. Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers appeared and had a big fight with the two superheroes of the Justice League, Wonder Woman and Cyborg. In the end, even the former Avengers member Iron Man, Tony Stark, participated in the battle. This chaotic scene was completely beyond their expectations. Since the headquarters of S.H.I.E.L.D. moved away from Washington, they still haven't figured out the specific situation. They thought that the Carol Danvers who appeared in Washington was the real Captain Marvel. Superman. Is Superman coming back? Coulson frowned. His intuition was accurate. Anton never shoots a movie for no reason. Is this a warm-up for the appearance of Superman? Chapter 323, Dawn of Justice premiere. Another Martha. DC's new movie has been completed and will be released next week has not only made Coulson and Hill of S.H.I.E.L.D. nervous, but also made the World Security Council and the US government realize that there will be a huge uncontrollable variable on Earth. Anton confirmed the existence of Superman. A few days ago, the conversation that took place in the White House was conveyed to the representatives of various countries in the World Security Council by John Kohler. These people are not completely ignorant of Superman's strength. From the works released by DC, it can be seen that Superman is definitely the most powerful person among the major superheroes of the Justice League, without a doubt. Anton never denied this during the conversation. Anton even has great confidence in Superman, as if once Superman returns, any problem can be solved. Many people read the works released by DC, analyzed and concluded, Batman is the absolute leader of the Justice League, but he is not the ceiling of the Justice League's combat power. The ceiling is Superman, Clark Kent. People studied Superman's background and found that Superman was born in a small town in Kansas. The reason why it is a certain town is because Smallville does not exist in this world. The literal translation of Smallville means small town. Later, because Superman was too famous, it was translated into Smallville Town. It is worth mentioning that the name of the Smallville series previously shot by DC Company was called Smallville. In this context, the World Security Council, SHIELD, and the US government searched through farms in Kansas and various towns, but did not find the Kent farm in the story. There was more than one farmer named Kent, but no one knew Clark Kent. No one knew about the spaceship that fell from the sky decades ago. Not to mention that there was an alien in the spaceship that looked exactly like a human baby. If it weren't for the fact that everyone had the greatest trust in Anton, they would have doubted the authenticity of Superman's existence. The story may be correct, but the background has been changed. In the end, these people gave up the search for Superman's hometown on Earth. They realized that the background descriptions of the major superheroes in the works launched by DC Company were all changed. Maybe the direction of the story is correct, and the characters are correct, but the specific information can never be found according to the names and places in the story. Anton and others should not be so stupid. Fortunately, these people did not have any extra ideas, so they simply gave up and waited for the release of the movie. In Anton's previous works, the relationship between Batman and Superman was revealed, which was not as united as they imagined. There seemed to be some contradiction between the two. This doubt must be answered in the movie. A week later, Anton successfully completed all the post-production work of the movie. Jim took care of the rest of the work, and Anton did not need to worry about it at all. In addition, the distribution company that had cooperated with them for a long time was prepared for Anton's willfulness, so there was no trouble. A few days later, the premiere began. At a venue in Los Angeles, Anton walked across the red carpet, accepted a short interview under the dense camera shooting, and entered the backstage in a chic manner. Afterwards, the stars shuttled on the red carpet one by one like products on an assembly line. During the process, Tony Stark, who almost never missed Anton's movie premiere, did not come to the scene this time. According to Anton, the technical research on the ability to crack the Skrull's transformation has encountered difficulties, which means it has reached a critical stage. Tony is not in the mood to watch the movie now. As long as this problem is solved, the research will have initial results. This is thanks to the Skrulls who came to the door a few days ago. The appearance of living materials has accelerated the experimental team's research on their ability and made the experimental team more confident in solving the problem. At the same time, Coulson and Hill in Europe can only see the finished film after the premiere. S.H.I.E.L.D. is in a worrying situation now, and they dare not return to the United States easily. And they are afraid that Anton will know if they use means to know the content of the movie in advance. It is not a trivial matter to offend Anton. It's just a movie. It doesn't make much difference whether it's a day later or a day earlier. It's a thankless job. Some agents under the World Security Council and the Secretary of Defense, John Kohler, secretly attended the premiere. The former wants to get the information in the movie as soon as possible, go back to make an analysis report, and submit it to their superiors for review. The latter's purpose is similar to the former, but the behavior pattern is simpler. Watch the movie, learn about Superman in advance, and communicate with Anton to understand the movement of the Justice League and the progress of the experimental team. A moment later, the lights in the backstage went out, and the picture appeared on the big screen. As the DC company's opening flashed, the first picture the audience saw was Batman's confession. Batman, Bruce Wayne, lost both his parents when he was young. This is a well-known setting. After his parents died, Bruce Wayne fell into the Batcave. Bats flapped their wings and attacked all over, surrounding the young Bruce. In a trance, Bruce's mind flashed the scene of his parents being killed, and then he looked at his dead mother and called out her name. Martha. The original movie was 2 hours and 25 minutes long, and the opening scene was the consistent romantic narrative style of director Zack Snyder. Anton did not make too many changes, but just slightly accelerated the rhythm. The rhythm is slow, and the literary drama is too strong. This is also where Zack Snyder has always been criticized. Batman's memories were deleted a little, and then the transition of the original film was used to turn the scene into the Battle of Superman, Man of Steel. In the battle between Superman and his fellow Kryptonian, General Zod, Bruce Wayne's old friend and old employee of Wayne Group, Jack, was buried by the building. The building collapsed, and other employees were killed or injured. In the picture, Bruce Wayne saved a little girl, and the little girl's mother also became a victim of this war. In the ruins, Bruce Wayne, who has become Batman, looked at the battlefield in the distance with deep eyes and a cold face, and clenched his fists. 18 months later, a fisherman salvaged the items left on the spaceship from the sea. A green stone. Here, Anton added a picture to prevent anyone from not understanding. Someone bought this stone with a large sum of money. After research, it was found that this stone has a strong inhibitory effect on Kryptonians. Obviously, this is paving the way for Batman to find a way to deal with Superman later. On the other side, Superman is talking to his mother. Before hanging up the phone, Superman calls out his mother's name. Martha. Another Martha. Chapter 324, Superman's death. Very meaningful. Many viewers did not realize the key point. But there are also smart people who know that there will not be such a coincidence. In the movie, all coincidences are definitely deliberately arranged by the creators. When these people have not figured out why this coincidence of the same name is arranged in this way, the picture shows the heroine of Man of Steel, Lois Lane. As a reporter, Lois is interviewing a terrorist base. She talked with a general. During the conversation, the identity of the CIA cameraman was exposed. Lois was in crisis and was about to die. Lois shook her head and looked at the black general walking towards her. I didn't know he was from the CIA. Ignorance does not mean innocence. At this time, the government forces cooperating with the CIA attacked, and the terrorists were surrounded. The black general used Lois as a threat to break through the encirclement. At this time, Superman, Clark Kent, who was in the United States, moved his ears and seemed to observe the situation of Lois thousands of miles away. He found a place to take off his clothes, revealing the innermost Superman suit. Boom! Exclamation mark. The air exploded, and Superman arrived at the scene in an instant at an astonishing speed close to the speed of light. The terrifying sonic boom was like thunder rolling in the sky, echoing in everyone's ears. The crisis was naturally resolved. Later, in the international court, a black woman made an accusation against Superman. The women in the village heard a sound, as if the sky was torn open, and he flew down, killing many people. What happened later was even more terrible. The government army began to attack, not even sparing innocent villagers, including my parents. The whole audience was silent. The American female congressman said, the whole world has seen Superman's ability, but has ignored the responsibilities he should shoulder. The hearing group will make a judgment on him, based on this record. He won't listen to you at all. The black woman looked sad and desperate. He doesn't listen to anyone, not even God. Silence. The camera swept across everyone in the hearing, including the female congressman who said to try Superman. Seeing this, the audience vaguely understood part of the meaning of this film. When the abilities of superheroes far exceed those of ordinary people on Earth, Superman is revered as a god, just like Batman today. Once these superheroes who are revered as gods make mistakes and cause huge and irreversible consequences, who can judge them? The government? Just like the cry of the victims in the movie. Even God can't judge him. John Cola's expression moved, and he suddenly began to feel that this movie was a bit interesting. The movie continues. Superman doesn't seem to care about such consequences and people's criticism, and he never regrets it. It was the government army that killed people, and he just wanted to save his woman. The plot deepens. Batman appears on the screen again. In the communication with the butler Alfred, the news about Superman helping the government army to kill innocent civilians appeared in Batman's vision. At this time, Batman just returned from a mission. Gotham's newspapers have once again regarded Batman as a criminal, just because of Batman's brutal methods. Someone fell from the sky, and thunder followed. Innocent people are dying. This is just the beginning, young master. That kind of fanaticism, anger, and that feeling of powerlessness will turn good people into cruel people. Alfred hinted that Batman was angry about the consequences caused by Superman, and because Superman was too powerful, and he could do nothing about Superman, he vented his anger on other people. On the other hand, Superman also saw the cruel means used by Batman to solve criminals in the news. This contrast highlights the contradiction between the two. Soon, the villain, Lex Luthor, appeared. In the communication between government officials and Luthor, it can be found that Luthor has discovered the effect of green meteorite and named it kryptonite. Kryptonite has a strong inhibitory effect on Kryptonians. With this research, Luthor obtained permission from the government and the military to enter the wreckage of the Kryptonian spacecraft for special research. Everything about the aliens, including the bodies of Kryptonians, was taken by the military. The plot is completely unfolded here. In society, people's doubts about Superman are constantly increasing. Batman's fear of Superman was also known to the movie audience as the plot unfolded. In the process of investigating the arms case, Batman targeted the mastermind behind the scenes, Lex Luthor. In Luthor's banquet hall, Batman and Superman had their first meeting in the movie. At the beginning of the meeting, it was like a meeting of fate. Batman's voice during the action was completely exposed to Superman. Superman understood Batman's true identity, Bruce Wayne. Superman came forward to interview as a reporter, and the meeting between the two sides was not happy. However, the result of Batman's action at the banquet, the driver disc related to Lex Group, was intercepted by a woman. Someone suppressed his voice and cheered. Wonder Woman. So far, two superheroes who are deeply recognized by people have appeared in the movie. Wonder Woman, Batman. Judging from the plot of the movie, these two characters should be used to set off Superman. John Cole can especially recognize this. Especially during the conversation in the White House not long ago, it was even more clear that Anton had confidence in Superman. That is absolute obedience to power. As long as Superman returns, anything can be solved perfectly. The movie interprets Superman's power to the fullest. Anton even used Batman to pave the way for Superman's power. Finally, Batman did not find the munitions he was looking for in Luthor's database, but found weapons to deal with Superman. At this time, photos of Batman beating criminals were sent to the Daily Planet. Superman received these photos, and the investigation of Batman also entered another stage. Neither party realized that this was Luthor's secret operation behind the scenes. No, maybe they realized it. However, Batman thought Superman was a threat, and Superman thought Batman was a criminal. Out of mutual fear, they were willing to slow down the pursuit of Luthor for the time being. In the end, Batman decided to steal the kryptonite from Luthor. In the process of stealing the kryptonite, Batman encountered Superman, who suddenly appeared and blocked the Batmobile. Next time, when your logo appears in the sky, don't respond. Batman is dead. Bury him. Just consider it my mercy to you. Superman looked at Batman indifferently. After that, he turned around and was about to leave. Tell me. Suddenly, Batman spoke in a low voice. Will you bleed? Superman paused and looked back at Batman. Boom. Without responding, he soared into the sky. The sound of sonic boom resounded. Batman looked at Superman's figure disappearing in the night sky and gave a firm answer. You will. This was the first time Batman and Superman confronted each other. The audience was fascinated. Superman is a reporter for the Daily Planet. This setting is really interesting. John Cole pondered. Could it be that Superman used to be an employee of the Daily Bugle? He didn't think this was a coincidence. In front of the big screen, people stared at him. The plot continued. Under the deliberate promotion of the villain Luthor, Congress was activated, and the Congresswoman represented the people who oppose Superman all over the world. In other words, people will judge Superman in Congress. However, soon after the Capitol was launched, a huge explosion shocked the world. The scene was attacked. Because the kryptonite device blocked Superman's sight, he failed to realize the existence of the explosive device, and failed to prevent the explosion. In addition to people's doubts about Superman, all this shook Superman's belief in himself, so he became discouraged. He decided to quit. Superman disappeared. The explosion of the Capitol made Batman think that Superman was a threat, and strengthened his determination to kill Superman. Through the tracker left by the previous operation, he broke into the Kryptonian spaceship and snatched the kryptonite from Luthor. Luthor was not surprised. Everything was under his control. Under the camera, he gradually showed his ambition. He went deep into the Kryptonian spaceship and mastered the Kryptonian technology with his clever mind. He decided to use the body of the Kryptonian, General Zod, to make some kind of weapon. At the same time, due to the disappearance of Superman and the occurrence of the Capitol bombing, the rebellious sentiment against Superman in human society became more and more high. News report. We all want to know whether Superman knew about the crisis in advance, but stood aside and watched. Is he related to the tragedy in Congress? His disappearance has aroused a lot of doubts. How could he disappear? At present, this country needs him more than ever. On the other side, Batman began to train himself. The camera showed Batman's research on the bat armor, and the number flashed by. The audience clearly caught its codename. Anti-Superman armor. Obviously, he has always been determined to kill Superman. At this time, Lois traced Luthor through some clues. Luthor sent someone to capture her. At the critical moment, Superman finally appeared and saved Lois. However, Luthor captured Superman's mother, Martha, and threatened Martha's life to force Superman to fight Batman. The conflict between the two that had been slightly resolved was highlighted again. Martha? People finally realized the problem. Superman and Batman's mother have the same name. From the reality, Superman and Batman are comrades in arms, so no matter how fiercely they fight in the movie, they will definitely reconcile in the end. Obviously, Martha, this name is the opportunity. Okay, you are here. On the screen, the battle between Batman and Superman has begun. Batman has almost no power to fight back. All his designs and all his tricks are equal to zero when used on Superman. Superman is really like a god on Earth, omnipotent. In the scene, heavy rain is pouring down. The battlefield under the night sky, the abandoned port of Gotham, are full of flames rising to the sky. Bang! Superman punches Batman to the roof of another building. Batman uses weapons made of kryptonite. Superman's ability is infinitely weakened. The two fight with fists and feet. This completely arouses Superman's anger. On the one hand, his mother is being threatened by the bad guys. On the other hand, he can feel Batman's malice towards him. Explanation is useless. But Batman is cheating after all, and he uses kryptonite to win this battle. When Batman was about to kill Superman, Superman called out the name Martha. He's helping him kill Martha. This plot did not deviate from the audience's expectations. As they thought, the conflict between the two disappeared. Batman helped Superman save Martha, and Superman went to the Kryptonian spaceship to kill Luthor. The plot entered the final stage. Luthor used Kryptonian technology, the body of General Zod, and his own blood, to create the Kryptonian monster, Doomsday, and was born. The two sides fought. Superman had almost no power to fight back. The whole city became their battlefield, and the buildings collapsed. The scene was like the New York War that everyone had experienced before. The super strong energy wave spread, and the people of the whole city were threatened. The battle between the two sides went from the ground to space. People used nuclear bombs. The huge flames made the deep night sky look like daylight. However, Doomsday became more and more powerful under the energy of this nuclear bomb. Superman's body shrank and floated in space. Under the sun, it took a long time to recover. Batman enters the scene and recognizes Doomsday as a Kryptonian creation, intending to kill Doomsday with a kryptonite weapon. At the critical moment, Wonder Woman appears. The Justice League assembles. The three superheroes, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, fight Doomsday. All three realize that the only way to kill Doomsday is with a Kryptonian weapon. It is the kryptonite inlaid javelin that Batman made when he intended to kill Superman. Superman decides to sacrifice himself. With a powerful blow, he raises the javelin and rushes towards Doomsday. That's it. Superman sacrifices himself and kills Doomsday. Superman uses his death to regain people's trust. In the end, Luthor is arrested. Everyone realizes that all these conflicts are related to Luthor, including the Capitol bombing tragedy that completely pushed humans and Superman to the opposite side. The movie enters the final stage. Batman and Wonder Woman stand in front of Superman's grave and talk. Batman decides to find some humans with extraordinary powers to form a team to meet the crisis that will inevitably continue. The audience realized that this was the prelude to the Justice League. Batman decided to assemble a team. If this is not the Justice League, what is it? Seeing this scene, the audience got goosebumps. This was a true fantasy shining into reality. In the real world, the Justice League already existed. Suddenly, they thought of Superman in the movie. A group of people widened their eyes. Could it be that Superman will soon appear on Earth? The dialogue ended. The screen went black and the Easter egg appeared. In the picture, Superman's coffin was about to be buried. Before Lois left, she sprinkled a handful of soil. The camera moved. The dust shook. Swish. The screen turned black and the movie ended. Will Superman be resurrected? Everyone realized the meaning of the Easter egg. Obviously, the shaking dust on Superman's coffin meant that Superman would definitely appear again. John Kohler frowned. This is a metaphor. Combined with Superman's death in the movie, it reminded Anton of what he said not long ago, that Superman is about to return. It's meaningful. Chapter 325 Good news. Lure the snake out of its hole. The plot of the movie is quite exciting. Even John Kohler, who is indifferent to these young people's entertainment activities, has to admit that this movie stands on the hotspot of the current world background and has output a certain degree of personal opinions. But from the overall story analysis, the creator of the film has interpreted his own views quite convincingly. John Kohler just treats the story as a virtual one. Since they tried hard to find the Kent farm in Kansas, they have lost any matching ideas for the story in the movie. But it is conceivable that the movie is alluded to. At least, this movie has made a long preparation for the return of Superman. The death of Superman at the end of the movie is touching. In the Easter egg, the dust that suddenly vibrated up has raised the expectations of all the audience. Kohler looked around and saw many audiences with excited expressions. He knew that these people's mood now is that they really want to see Superman in the real world. Of course, for these ordinary audiences, whether Superman exists is still an unknown. But for high-level officials like Kohler, and even the high-level officials of the major representative countries of the World Security Council, the existence of Superman is no longer a secret. Soon, the Justice League will probably meet everyone's expectations and see the exciting scene of Superman's return. The thought flashed through his mind. John Kohler stood up and didn't plan to stay any longer. Just in time, Anton and other main creative staff came on stage to be interviewed. The two looked at each other and nodded to each other. After the premiere, the next day, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice was released nationwide in the United States. Then, a few days later, the film was released on the big screen all over the world. This movie, which uses Batman as a selling point, made a lot of money at the box office. Although in the previous life, many people thought that this was just a naked fan film and was not friendly to non-fan audiences. In this unique Marvel world, where everyone knows Batman, plus Anton's small modifications to some fan clips, the plot has become clearer and easier to understand. The key is that in the original film, Lex Luthor's motivation has not been explained very clearly. In this movie, Anton, in collaboration with the gold medal screenwriter, Browning, added an explanation of Luthor's motivation. To put it bluntly, from the very beginning, the villain Luthor regarded Superman as a threat. In Luthor's view, the only person who is most likely to defeat this god on Earth is Batman, who is not as powerful as him, but has the same status as him. Therefore, he tried his best to create the confrontation between Batman and Superman. Until Superman retired, Luthor found that things could not be done. This went against his original intention, so he created Doomsday, one as an alternative plan, and the other as his strongest trump card. During this period, Luthor's personal ambition was fully revealed. The logic line is very clear. Luthor took an irrefutable villain template. In addition to Batman and Luthor, the appearance of Wonder Woman also earned everyone's attention. Using Batman and Wonder Woman to set off Superman's strength completely raised everyone's expectations and recognition of Superman. The three superheroes, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman, stood side by side in the film, and the picture standing in front of Doomsday was regarded as a classic. Some people also believe that this should be an allusion to the original Justice League. Since the appearance of Batman, there have been many speculations about the Justice League. At present, the most accepted view is that there are actually two new and old Justice Leagues in this world. In the works of DC Company, Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Cyborg, Green Lantern, Flash, Aquaman are members of the 7 giants of the first generation of Justice League. The remaining members include Green Arrow, Martian Manhunter, Atom, and so on. In the real world, except for Batman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, and Green Arrow, other virtual members of the Justice League have never appeared. People dare not give a positive answer to whether these people exist. After all, since Batman first appeared, Green Arrow, Cyborg and Wonder Woman have appeared one after another. It is hard to guarantee that the remaining virtual members will not jump out of the virtual world and become real people. Therefore, the Justice League without real members is regarded as the old Justice League. It is worth mentioning that, so far, in addition to the above mentioned people, the Justice League in the real world also includes Spider-Man, Venom, Evil Dead, Daredevil, Ninja Turtles, and the Fantastic Four, Dr. Lizard, and the Hulk, who briefly appeared in the New York War. Well, maybe we have to add the Master of the Ninja Turtles, the Rat Splinter. This real version is regarded by the public as the new Justice League. As various crises occur on Earth, members of the old Justice League will continue to return to the new Justice League to create the strongest superhero group on Earth. This is the public's perception. The release of Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice provides the most convincing template for everyone's perception of Superman. Superman's alien identity is portrayed as a god on Earth in the movie. Rounding off is equal to the real world, the enhanced version of Thor that everyone knows. Isn't this a sense of substitution? Due to the relatively good impression of Thor, very few people talk about Superman's alien identity. In Anton's system panel, Superman's fan value is soaring. In just a few days, Superman's fan value exceeded 85 million and was heading for the goal of 100 million. Obviously, the appearance of Superman is no longer a fantasy. This is not much different from Anton's original plan. From the beginning of the journey, he planned to use 2 years to exchange for Superman. Now it seems that the time is just right. During the release of the movie, in addition to the good news about Superman, he also received good news from the Sewer experimental group. There has been the latest progress in the research on cracking the Skrull's ability to transform. The experimental team has achieved preliminary results. It will take about 1 or 2 weeks to produce a finished product to distinguish the Skrulls hidden in the human world. When the finished product appears, it will be time for humans to blow the horn of counterattack. Anton pondered for a moment and notified the news. The World Security Council, the US government, and other official forces all received this good news. John Keller was refreshed. At the same time, along with the major official forces, the first generation of Super Skrulls who hid behind the scenes to create the Super Skrull Corps, and now the leader of the Skrulls on Earth, Kart, received the intelligence. Through high-level spies lurking in major official forces of mankind, he also got this information. So fast? Carter was a little surprised. Thinking of Taylor Hayward, who had gone there and never returned not long ago, he sighed. A sheep walking into the tiger's mouth. Carter was silent for a long time. He guessed that this was a rumor deliberately spread by the Justice League in order to lure the Skrulls into the trap. This trick is called luring the snake out of the hole. I stayed up late to code an extra chapter. It's the last day of the month. Please give me a monthly ticket. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.